She pronouns. I'm PFC Senate Seat 3.
Hi, my name is Piper Smith. I share pronouns and I'm CFC C6.
Y'all, my name is Samuel Broussard, CC8 TFC.
Hey guys, my name is Bella Hopper-Hay. I use she, her pronouns. I'm DFC Senate Seat 9 and the DFC chair.
Hi, I'm Leah Hopperman. I use she, her pronouns. I am DFC. Hi, my name is Yvette Mondieta. I use she, her pronouns, and I am.
Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Jenkins Fox. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Senate Seat 12 academic. Yep.
Hello everyone, my name is Cole Stevenson. I use he, him pronouns. I am academic seat 15 representing the psychology major, and I'm academic committee chair.
Hi, my name is Ami Purdue. I use she, her pronouns, and I am academic seat 16 and school music and dance and vocal recital.
Hi, my name is Dre. I use they, them pronouns. I hold seat 17. I represent the Aragonville Colleges of Education and Multidisciplinary Science.
My name is Robin Bailey. I use he, him pronouns. I'm Senate Seat 18, representing the school channels and communications.
My name is Luke Kamal, South Seat 19.
Hi, I'm Bridget Madariaga. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Senate Seat 21.
Hi, Kayla Fisher. She, her pronouns. I'm academic seat 22.
Hi, I'm Sarah Questenberry. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm academic seat 23.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I'm just Hi, my name is Erin Ludeman. She, her pronouns. I'm Senate Seat 20 and the Deputy Speaker.
My name is Adrian Gill. I'm Senate Seat 7 Contracts Finance Committee, and I'm the Senate Speaker.
I'm Matt Jensen. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the Vice President.
So next, can we have a senator read the land acknowledgement, please? Senator Madariaga.
The University of Oregon is located on Kalapuya Ilihi, the traditional indigenous homeland of the Kalapuya people. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. Today, Kalapuya descendants are primarily citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians, and they continue to make important contributions to their communities, to the UO, to the lands now known as Oregon, and to the world. In following the Indigenous Protocol of acknowledging the original people of the land we occupy, we also extend our respect to the 9 federally recognized Indigenous nations of Oregon: the Burns Paiute Tribe, the Confederate Tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua and Sla Indians, the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, the Confederate Tribes of Siletz Indians, the Confederate Tribes of Umatilla Indian Reservation, the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs, the Folkwell Indian Tribe, the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians, and the Klamath Tribes. We express our respect to the many more tribes who have ancestral connections to this territory, including the Chinook Indian Nation and the Fort McDermott Paiute and the Shoshone tribes, as well as to all other displaced Indigenous people who call Oregon home.
Thank you, Senator Madariaga. Next, I'll read the ASU mission statement. The purpose of ASU is to strive for the social, cultural, educational, and physical development of its members, ASU or UO students, and for the advancement of their individual and collective interests, both within and without the university. Next, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Senator Fisher.
I move to approve.
Secretary Peters.
Motion made by Fisher, seconded by Peters. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay, and the agenda is now approved. Next, we'll move to announcements. Do you have any senators, members of the public that wish to make an announcement? Senator Stevenson, then Heffernan.
This Sunday, the Black Excellence Gala is taking place from 4:30 to around 7:30-ish. Immediately afterwards, Bollywood Ball is happening. Today is the last day to buy your tickets for Bollywood Ball. I want to see some of you guys there. I know I'm gonna see Subu.
Thank you, IU.
Senator Heffernan.
Yeah, I just want to say about the anti-AI working group that was started last week. If you are interested in joining that, you can contact either me or Costas in exactly what each one works.
Senator Smith.
Hey, my ICE alert project is still going well, but I think it could be going faster. I still have these sign up forms. If you have any like access to distribution or things like that, or like you're a steward of a space or something, if you put one of these and steal a couple from me, it would make me smile. If you like have an apartment complex or you TA classes or any of the things, please come over here and then you can smile when I bug you back next week. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Smith. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak? All right, we'll move into public forum. Does anybody wish to speak in public forum? Yeah, I'm going to financial business. First, we'll start with the transfer request from Native American Law Students Association. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, with me, this is not job and I'm catching up. I don't know the proper forum here, but
Just like introduce yourself and talk a little bit why you're making the transfer and stuff.
My name is Noah Kuhn. I am one of the board members for NASA Secretary. We are requesting a transfer of the reading what was sent to me. $2,190 from the North Moot Court line item to our next bar conference item. Funds are being used to fund our trip. I don't know what else.
So that's awesome. I met with one of your board leaders in the ASU suite today, and their intent to travel got denied, but they were able to get it in last minute and it got moved. Everything's all good to go. And this was the last possible moment they could have made the transfer. So they came last minute and it seemed to them. So, thank you so much. Does anybody have questions or want to make a motion? Oh, Senator Questenberry.
Yeah, I've been working with Helen on this, so I'm aware of the information, and I've met with the group. I've been talking to them about this, and it's for regular transportation and special here. So I'm going to make a motion. I move to transfer funds within the group Native American Law Students Association, OS number OS89I from NALSA Moot Court to Fed Bar Conference in the amount of $2,190. Second,
Motion made by Questenberry, seconded by Fisher. Do we have any more questions? All right, we'll go to vote. Starting with Perez, Peters, Fisher, O'Neill. Side by proxy. Smith.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Broussard. Aye. Offerday.
Aye.
Heffernan.
Aye.
Amodiafe. Jenkins Hiscox.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Purdue.
Aye.
Smith. Aye. Bailey.
Aye.
Morel. Madariaga. Fisher.
Aye.
Questenberry.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye as well. Thank you so much. And then next, we'll move into our surplus request for the evening. We have first generation college grads. Do we have a rep from first generation college grads? Yeah. Right. Senator Fisher.
I move to transfer the request. I move to table the surplus request generation.
Motion made by Fisher, seconded by Questenberry. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. And the motion is now, or the request is now tabled. Moving into the Art History Student Association. Thank you so much for being here.
Aye.
Can you hear me? This is really short.
You can take it off though. Or you can.
Hi, I'm Bronson. I'm the treasurer for ASA, the Art History Students. And I am here to ask about creating line. Stuff I don't want to say, sorry.
For sure. It says you guys got $250 Quest. What was the money directly going to?
So we tried to have an event a while back and we got denied for purchasing because the line I tried to pull from didn't include what we needed, so it was just limited to like just supplies, cooking supplies and food for an event. And the line we had before was one for professional development, and so I was told to ask to request a new budget line so that we could have a line just for expenditures, just for general expenses. So to like ban this, in the future, we have no other lines that we can pull up for our social events.
Oh, the cost. Senator Bailey.
Did you want this to be a transfer?
Yeah, I didn't want to surplus in the thing.
Did we change that here?
Yeah, you could just make it a transfer instead of a surplus request. The form has been weird ever since we did the winter term update. It changed one of the options for transfer to say that it's only for stipends. I've been trying to get that off. Yeah, in the line items, we're transferring from.
Want me to look up the thing I put down? Yeah, it's a while back. I filled out this form.
Where it's going into merchandise.
It's a new line item.
Right, new line item.
You'll.
I had a question. Or not surplus, just are you guys wanting to do a personal reimbursement for an event? Well, thing is, I probably won't get it because I was saying no. Okay, cool. I know how hard it is to get their reimbursement. It wasn't questions. Okay, cool. That I don't remember what the soft deadline is, but I know that we're getting close to it for personal reimbursement.
Then you're transferring from what line item into what line item again?
Oh, that's me? Or okay, so looks like I wanted to request funds from the art craft workshop to a new line that's general pictures or just this.
From
From art craft workshop, the budget for this year, right? Correct. Yeah, there should be a line for that in the old budget. My understanding.
then moving it into merchandise. line
No,
items,
to create a new line,
a new line item called
called like general expenses or general expenditures, like.
Senator Peters.
I would recommend you just name it programming, that's how we usually have students use to try to programming on. That's like,
That would be great. I didn't know what to
do anything programming.
Senator Fisher.
Yeah. Hi, I was in a class that you were a G for last year for art history, so I wanted to say hi. What line item is it coming out of?
Art craft workshop.
Art craft workshop.
Okay, I moved to transfer funds within group Art History Student Association OS 008I in the amount of $700 from line item art craft
To programming.
art craft workshop to programming.
Second, Peter.
Motion made by Fisher, seconded by Peters, and Senator Smith. If there are no questions, we need to vote. We can vote by acclamation. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Thank you so much for being here so much. And next up, we have the Art History Student Association. Feel free to talk with.
Right. Yeah, when figures went up.
Yeah. Your project.
I'm Kelly Gifford, the financial director for the Rising Project, and I sent a slideshow in.
Yes, pulling it up.
Perfect. Okay, so our club does one main event in the spring called Birthday Party. It's an Earth Day celebration on the EMU Green, and yeah. So at the event, we'll have 5 departments, each working with different environmental groups or things, and they're each going to have. It's not just a normal tabling booth. They each have
activity that goes with them. So the OP barn is gonna have a raft out, one of their new rafts. We're gonna have like a collage making from magazine scraps. We're gonna have a button making station. And then we also like to draw people in by having crazy and fun bounce castles. So we have one like obstacle one, and the guy on that is like 30 feet tall. So very visible to anyone walking by, and yeah. And then here's so we're requesting $1,275, and we're a first year like unfunded club. So yeah. And then this is kind of the breakdown of different parts. And then on the next slide, it's an even further breakdown. So yeah, if the numbers on the last slide didn't fully add up, because there's also the buffer of $100 because we met with the scheduled people at the EMU and they couldn't give us, we haven't had like our official meeting yet, and so they didn't have a completely solid price for the tables and tent and all of that. So I added in the buffer because I looked at the prices from last year. And yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I love the breakdown. It's very thorough. We will start with questions with Senator Smith.
I'm just gonna make the motion. I move to authorize spending from unallocated reserve to group Rising Project OS number OS 372 in the amount of $1,275 to the new line item.
Motion made by Smith, seconded by Bailey. And next we have Senator Hopperhead.
Thanks for being here. Maybe I missed this part. Are you guys also like an environmentally focused club?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
was like, okay, so all these other orgs, but also like you guys
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Senator Peters.
Okay, two things. First of all, Piper, I'll recommend, or sorry, Senator Smith, I'll recommend that you amend your motion because it can come from unallocated. She did, okay. Okay, and then I had another question. The Jungle Bounce House, those, have you guys started working? I forgot to ask you this when we had our meeting. Have you started working with the people you're gonna contract with for that?
Not it. We worked with the same company in the past. Okay. But we haven't started working with them yet because it seemed like to fill out the form was like a lot of things, and I didn't know if I was able to start doing that before I got the money of it.
How many weeks away are we from this?
It is April 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check then, that we still have 6 weeks. So yeah, okay, cool. For you.
So if there's no more questions, we're gonna vote. We'll start with Perez. Aye. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
O'Neill.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Broussard. Aye. Hopperhead.
Aye.
Heffernan. Aye. Jenkins Scott. Chisholm. Nagaraj.
Aye.
Stevenson. Aye. Purdue.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye.
Morel. Madariaga. Fisher.
Aye.
Questenberry.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye as well. Congrats and thank you so much for coming. Next up, we have the Geology Club at UO. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm the vice president of UO's Geology Club, and also I'm a presentation.
We're getting hold up right now. Senator Smith or Senator O'Neill?
This is for the future.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just no quick notes. You're more than welcome to start being like.
Yeah. I also should mention that I requested a transfer. Okay, you guys got that?
Yeah, we got the transfer and the surplus request on here. For senators, we make a motion to start the transfer, then do the surplus request.
It says that I need permission to access the presentation.
Okay, would it be okay if maybe I went after the next people and I gave you the permissions to access it?
Yeah, that should be fine. Senator Stevenson.
If that's what everyone would like, then I move to table the request from Geology Club.
Second.
And where do you want to rescind your motion?
Never mind.
Oh,
Going away.
Do you want this?
So, no, it worked.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, just say you rescind your motion.
I resend my motion to table Geology Club.
Alright, we'll now hear the request from you geology students.
Okay, so we're requesting a surplus for our spring break trip. Go to the next slide. Okay, so it's a $1,900 surplus. Oh, you go back one. And it's a bit different in how we're funding this trip. So essentially, the Earth Science Department has very graciously offered to front the funds and liability for the Death Valley trip. And then, or with the caveat that if all goes to plan, we will refund them using our ASUO funds. So we plan to use our travel line, which would hopefully include the surplus and then consolidated funds to refund the Earth Science Department. Okay. So just an overview of the trip. The trip would take place over spring break from March 21st through the 28th. It would include 16 members of the University of Oregon Geology Club, a PhD student that studies in Death Valley, as well as Professor Marley Miller, who has 40 years of experience studying in Death Valley. We'll also include 14 destinations, each with their own lecture and lecture material in or around Death Valley National Park. And the total expected expenses for the trip are $4,850. So the purpose of this trip is to foster community engagement and networking between undergraduates within the Earth Science Department and to expose undergraduates to academic research, especially in the field, and to connect course material to real world examples, because it's just usually the course material is very cut and dry, but in the field, things are a lot more complicated and a lot of students don't really get exposure to. So our itinerary again is I said 14 places, but here's like a breakdown of some of our top locations. So we intend to visit Ubihibi Crater, which is a great place to study volcanic depositions and playa lake formation. Ashimoto is a great place for environmental geoscientists study aquatic endangered species, as well as Badwater Basin and various active research sites that are being researched by our PhD student Amelia Cuomo and Amelia Cuomo and our Professor Marley Miller. As for lodging, the Earth Science Department has helped us reserve a Super 8 on the way down. This is 4 rooms down, $12 per room, and then again on the way up. And the Shear Center, which is a geologic station in Death Valley, has offered us free lodging during our stay, as well as beds for everyone in the kitchen. And our lectures, again, Marley Miller is the professor. She'll be giving the lectures, and she'll also be providing lecture materials straight from her recently published book, Death Valley Rocks. So, and then that's Amelia Cuomo. She's also very experienced in Death Valley. And this is nothing new. We've been to Death Valley before and actually stayed at the Shear Center.
No, I just really support you.
Okay. And we've also been to Utah and just last year, Olympic Peninsula. I got the pleasure to go on that trip and I learned a lot about the geology of the Northwest and Washington in general. And where are our funds for this trip coming from? So we have $2,000 in our travel line item, as well as we're hoping to pull for transfer funds from, I believe it's office supplies and enrichment events, and for some reason we had $400 in our pastry breakfast line, so I don't know why that was, but we pulled some money from there, so we managed to collect another $955, which brings our funds to about $3,000, but again, we still need about another $1,900. And we do have an upcoming fundraising event, so we're hoping to host a pastry breakfast at the department meeting. The Earth Science Department really loves Geology Club, and there'll be lots of professors and graduate students, prospective graduate students, PhD students, and so we hope to sort of rake in a little more funding there. And that's it.
Thank you so much. It's clear you guys have put a lot of effort into planning this event. $1,900 for 16 students is a crazy good job, and you guys got your department involved too, which is great to see. So thank you so much for doing this, and we'll start discussion with Senator O'Neill.
I think it's great that there's a geology up here. I really like rocks, so I'm just gonna make the motion. So I move to transfer funds within the group Geology Club OS 111 from existing line item pastry breakfast line item to existing line item travel in the amount of $400.
I realized I actually mislabeled the line item. It's actually field trip line item instead of travel.
Okay. I move to transfer funds within the group Geology Club OS 111 from existing line item pastry breakfast to existing line item field trip in the amount of $400. And I also move to transfer funds within the group Geology Club OS 111 from existing line item office supplies to existing line item field trip in the amount of $200. Just to check, that's an already existing line item field trip or field trip?
Yes.
I move to transfer funds within the group Geology Club OS 111 from existing line item enrichment events to existing line item field trip in the amount of $355. And I move to authorize spending from surplus to group Geology Club OS 111.
We'll do the transfers first, and then we'll go to the surplus first. Thank you. And then what's the total of the last?
955.
Thank you. Motion made by O'Neill, seconded by Smith. We now have a motion on the floor. Does anyone want to ask questions about the transfers? All right, we'll go on the transfer. Starting with Perez, Peters,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
O'Neill,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Broussard, Cofferday,
Aye.
Heffernan,
Aye.
Amador, Jacob Hiscock,
Aye.
Chisholm,
Aye.
Nagarajan,
Aye.
Stevenson, Purdue,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Morrell,
Aye.
Madariaga,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Westonberry,
Aye.
Ludeman,
Aye.
and I say as well, congratulations. And then, do you yield or do you want to make the surplus request, Joe?
I've been wrong.
I move to authorize spending from surplus to group Geology Club OS 111 in the amount of $2,900 to existing line item thanks.
Second question.
Motion made by O'Neill, seconded by Questenberry. And now forward to discussion, starting with Senator Smith.
Oh, I just wanted to. move-
You yield.
Yeah, I yield. Wait, no, I don't yield. What do you want? I want nice things.
Take order. Senator Stevens, or Senator Stevenson did say.
I was gonna make the motion and I yield.
Senator Smith.
I just want to say I love Marley Miller. I had her class one time, and I think this trip is super cool, and I'm so excited for you guys.
I was printed to you.
Did you have another thing?
I did. I had nice things to say.
Work out.
I just wanted to say that Geology Club's an expert in making a lot happen with very little. And so I wanted to say that. That's all I wanted to say, guys. I yield now. Thank you.
Okay. And we have the motion on the floor. We'll go to vote, starting with Perez, Peters,
Aye.
Fisher, O'Neill, Taylor,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Broussard, Cofferday,
Aye.
Heffernan,
Aye.
Amadiepe, Jacobs Hiscox, Chisholm, Nagarajan,
Aye.
Stevenson, Purdue,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Morel, Ariaga,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Westbury,
Aye.
Ludeman,
Aye.
and I say as well. Congratulations and enjoy your trip. And next up on the agenda, we have the ASU Elections Board. Technically ASU Executive Branch, but they operate independently.
I'll try to send the presentation to you in email.
Can you send it to my email? Cause I'm connected to like the Zoom with the video, so.
Okay, let me see here, what's.
EBSEN Vice.
Vice President.
Vice President at your.
Okay, it just says hopefully goes through. Laptop go down, I'm used to Mac trying to go back and forth, now it's Microsoft. That's a fun experience.
What email did you send it from?
I sent it from my, I believe it was my actual, regular
Chair.
Not the chair one, it's like.
Oh. Oh, no, I just got it, Cassie.
Pulling it up now, so more than welcome to start.
Okay, sweet. So, yay, well, this one. So, hello, let's start. We're doing a budget request because our initial budget is about 600, which we're lucky, that's gonna be a venue. If you wanna go ahead and skip to the next one. Sorry, it's supposed to be UVO picks, but I ran out of time. So one of the things that we want to address is one of our goals was to increase voter turnout. The problem, what we're coming up against, is to do so costs money that we don't have if we're just using all of the funds we have for a venue for the debate. And so what we're coming down to is either we're gonna have to work on just marketing or just doing like one event if we don't have any funds. I noticed last year they used, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a bit under 3,000. And I don't know if you've noticed their voter turnout wasn't great. And when I looked at other colleges, when I was trying to bring up it wasn't working quite. There's a few other colleges at our university that I've looked at, and their budgets are like quite a bit more. And so today, if you want to go ahead and skip to the next one, we're kind of just addressing, we would like to do the tabling with the candidates for campaigning. Again, that's going to cost money for marketing. We want to have brochures, flyers, things that we can have out so that people can easily access by hand, as well as we want to do some social media stuff and some banners, different ways to reach out to students. Another thing is the debate itself. So again, I mentioned pretty much our entire budget goes to the venue, not counting anything else. And even that, trying to negotiate funds when we don't have much more than that, it's been difficult. And then for the actual elections, we want tables, we like those. Again, we'd like to have ways of, marketing and posters and flyers and getting all those up also money. So you want to skip to the next one. I have a little bit, oh gosh, that is so small. I hope you guys see it better than I did. But we kind of just broke down the budgeting. So in essence, if we want to hit the kind of math student population hard, I think marketing would be a big way. One way of researching was that the athletic department has not even been addressed in the past, really. And one of the things that would be really cool is like having the duck out and getting people's attention. Various different things, we have ideas. And of course that number could be altered, but I just kind of wanted to show that marketing can, if one of people are it's going to be one of the higher points for the pricing. And then venue, I also have food, like equipment, and I do have the last one on there is like a merch, right? I had a different word for it. My merch was a lot better. But pretty much the idea is we really like to have like when people vote, we want them to be able to have like a pen or a sticker, and then they can go get free food or free energy drink or something, you know, that encourages, you know, students like, hey, participate. Things like this can be something that, you know, is part of working with the elections, of just seeing what options are out there and how we're. So, I'm gonna go to the next one. So here's the financial risk. So if we don't get the funds, we can't do anything. I mean, just trying to show up. For example, I'm working with the newspaper. Newspaper's like, hey, I bet you have some ads out. You probably get more people out there knowing about this. Problem is they're like, well, how's your budget? You think I want to go to them and be like, oh, sorry, I have a budget. You know, there are ways to work around it, but again, you're gonna get what you pay for. So I guess that's kind of really my main point in this. It's if we're not getting funding to do all these things that, you know, we would like to do as the election board, we can't do it. And when it comes down to it, the election board really is about the rules and helping to interpret those rules. You know, beyond that, it's like we can only much if we don't have funding. So I think that might be it. Have real quick her Liva just speak. She's kind of doing the PR marketing, and so she can kind of explain a little bit about what that's looking like.
Everyone. So as Cassie kind of covered, there's a lot we can do without money, and there is honestly so many more ideas. We have so many other things we want to do and touch on, but this is really bare minimum that we need in order to do the bare necessities we need in order to increase voter turnout. Like if we had an even larger budget, there's more to do. But all we're asking for is the 5,000. We have looked into, as Cassie mentioned, like getting the dumpster event. I mean, that would draw in so many people. But the number we were quoted is like 3 to 500 for like an hour. And we also like there has a lot of reach with the athletics department, the cheerleaders on campus, and we are so known for our sports here at U of O. So I don't understand why we wouldn't get our sports teams involved with all the different things we're trying to do on campus. But everything takes money. Yeah, so, like we need money in order to get things we want to happen. And with marketing, as again Cassie has touched on, part of marketing is getting ad space, it's getting t-shirts, it's getting the word out in so many different avenues, and each avenue costs something. And as of right now, our $600 budget only covers the venue for the debate we want to host, which is our one big event. If we don't get a budget increase, then we would either have to put everything into the debate or forgo the debate, have no big events, and hope that a couple ads here and there do the trick. Yeah.
I think that's it. After questions.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys being here and sharing and being rich. We'll open up discussion now with Senator Smith.
Yeah, what kind of advertising do you have at your disposal? And is it doable within the budget list?
So if we were to look at just free options, it would maybe hit email lists. But I don't know about you, how often y'all check all those newsletter emails? I get to some of them when I'm lucky. So the idea isn't just about going one route, it's really about trying to tackle this. I mean, we're looking at what, 10%, I think, ish, right? It was a really low number for voter turnout last year. And so I feel like we already have an incredibly high amount of time. And so utilizing, like, for example, we've looked at email options, we've looked at doing in-person thing, but again, we're a team of 5 and we have a lot we have to do. that, you know, wasn't necessarily explained when we were jumping in. It's kind of been things we've kind of been like, oh wait, we got to do this and we got to do that regarding, for example, you know, coming out with the rules, having to review all these rules and understand them and things like that. So as we're now getting to the nitty gritty and having to like hit deadlines for looking at like, man, how are we going to make this happen? And so, other than pretty much emails and trying to pretty much door to door, like just going to classes, which really none of us have a lot of ability to do and keep up with. I actually take a math media stickiness. We unfortunately cannot do stickiness as we stand. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's pretty much where you're like, for example, Google has, you know, phones, has like all these aspects that bring people in. We at the moment have kind of nothing. I mean, very little. We could use social media, but if that's the only outlet, which is predominantly, I believe, what they used last year, you're going to get the same thing. 10%, maybe 15 if we're lucky. I would like to see that number to be at least 30 to 50 is what I would like to shoot.
No. I'm curious what the concept is.
So those are where we're now looking at costs. So we're looking at, I talked to the newspaper, and free options would be, we might be able to get a news story in a couple of times. We might be able to get a couple of options, but in regards to being consistent and constantly being in people's faces in that aspect, it would cost ad space. Just like, you know, if we want to utilize, there's like the board and printing where like you see all the different newsletters or like the attention boards, I don't know, where you see like the different flyers. So that's another option that costs money too. We've looked at banner options. I thought that'd be really cool. Minus where the banner option is right now is not where we would want it. Not like that's pretty as we were hoping it would be, but so we're kind of just coming up with limited things also regarding timing now. Now we need to be quick and immediate, and unfortunately, how much some of that other stuff, like trying to do fast wraps, setting all those up, trying to do more in-person things, are just going to take a lot more time to set up. So now we have to pivot and do more like everything needs to be flyer based. So for example, I was asked about doing a toolkit to kind of educate about the campaign process and to become a candidate. So that's going to cost money to print out like brochures or whatever. So not to mention we're getting something or someone to sign it. I mean, there's just a bunch of costs that is hard to calculate in when we don't even have any. Whereas I could go to the ad place and be like, hey, I've got like $100, $200 to work with. What kind of ad spend? I could go to the duck, you know, feeler, like what time do you have free? Hey, can you do a little thing in the middle to get people's attention and we'll do a little shout out. I mean, these are the things that we've been entertaining and different options to kind of think outside of the box to try to get people who wouldn't have normally.
Yeah, I guess first thing I think it would be a really good idea to reach out to some of the student orgs and ask them to stuff on their stories because they have pretty large followings and they're also people who feel a large brunt of ASUO. And I know that last year I knew a lot of people in orgs who had never heard about it. So I think that'd be a really great free way to get people. But yeah, also I definitely support this quite a lot. I think that it's very important to make voting as encouraged as possible, especially when we look at the United States and the way that voting is suppressed and, you know, like people can't take time off or anything. So I think having the food as an incentive is something that I think is really great for students. And yeah, and really just to make the voting a very positive experience. So I definitely do support this request.
I just wanted to address that real quick because I think that's an important point. Is we are certainly going to reach out to the student boards. I think one of our mission statements in a sense is to be non-biased, and so even though that's definitely on our agenda to start reaching out to the student boards, try to get a little posting on their newsletters. that's still leaving out a big chunk of students who, like, I didn't participate in any organizations prior to working with the election board. So last year, I'll be honest, I had no idea what really was going on because I'm a single mom and I'm a student, you know, whereas who's to say if someone was like, hey, do you want a free lunch, like, come, you know, or hey, do you know anything about the elections board? Look at the power you could have. I mean, really, that's what I want our mission to be. Because I think people forget, and I've heard multiple times people saying like, oh, it doesn't really matter that much to me. And this is what I really want to do, is to promote how important it really, like, student government doesn't, you know, function without people. And so I think the hard part is I don't think enough of various different reach outs have happened in the past. Like I said, student organizations definitely on our radar, but there's also a lot of students that aren't. That's kind of where I just wanted to address that because I know that's something we've been working on.
I just wanted to add, I think that also, well, that's a great idea. We absolutely should do it. It does leave out the different grad schools on campus because, like, as a law student, I'm not following ASU. Like, I don't know what's happening in these organizations on the undergrad.
Senator Madariaga.
Alright, so yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Senator O'Neill said. I was gonna say the same. Well, I was gonna say this thing about making students like stronger and everything by getting more people to vote. So I want to go ahead and make the motion. I move to authorize spending from surplus to group ASU elections board OS number OS035I in the amount of $5,000 to existing line item elections.
Motion made by Madariaga, seconded by Fisher.
Yeah.
Whitman.
Hi, Cassie. Good to see you again. You mentioned a lot of different like avenues for marketing and getting outreach, and also like understanding that we've had such low voter turnout in the past. What do you think like about this year's like election board is really going to drive that voter turnout? Like, is there like one thing specifically that you think you want to focus on that is going to like reinforce?
Yeah, so I think, as I kind of mentioned before, I think one of the best things that we have is our team. One of the things that was really hard trying to set up for the commissioners is try to have as much variety and bias as possible. Thank goodness for Liva, who represents like the graduates, because we would have no idea how things affect them and how they're not getting reached out to. And they're a part of the students too. Just like I had, you know, philosophy major and I'm a sociologist. And so we reach these other areas where, you know, aren't necessarily as into politics. Like, you know, I saw the debate and I talked to the newspaper, you know, some other things. Anyway, I asked them, you know, like, hey, what it was like at the debate. And they said it was predominantly, you know, poli-sci students, people who were, you know, already kind of in the know. What I would like to see is I would like to see people who were like never seen such things and kind of want to know. And I can't promise that, but I guarantee we can move steps closer with getting more information out in various different ways.
And how do you think you're going to be able to reach those people that maybe don't have that same understanding, and that's not something that they're like thinking about on the day to day, or maybe don't even know ASU at all? Where do you think that like connection really starts?
Well, I mean, like most marketing, it is everywhere. We can try to make it everywhere. Social media, flyers everywhere, some people standing out, having educational booths, trying to be in different locations. You know, we're bound to hit more people than at least last year. And, you know, I mean, at this point, as much as I would have liked to do so much more, this is kind of where we're at. And just at this point, we're just going to try to like flood as much as possible and getting people involved.
I also think a lot of our goal this year is putting in place infrastructure for the next upcoming years. Like, do I think we'll be able to hit our goal of like 50% turnout? Hopefully. But do I think we could set up future election committee boards to hit that one day? Absolutely. And I think that starts with building these avenues now.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. When you guys are comparing election boards between other schools, are you guys just comparing budgets or also strategies? Like, do you guys know that increase in budgets also works effectively?
Yeah, so I mean, it is harder to tell to know exactly every dollar going to every student. I will own that. That being said, though, when I've looked at other universities and I was seeing numbers in like, 10,000, and their voter turnouts are higher. And I looked at, schools like Washington and California, and, they're having higher turnouts. I feel like at least it shows they have more ability to reach out to more students. Is kind of what that marketing and having more funds look like.
And then I know like obviously any more marketing funds you have could only like do better. But do you feel that having that much of an increase would make that much of a difference?
Well, my plan is if for whatever reason, say marketing costs us like $1,000, so that could be 500 we utilize in a sense. And I don't know how we have to structure this regarding our budget. We could talk more about this, but I'm thinking it's like, for example, I would love to have a theater space. How much is the theater programming brought into this? If we could rent out maybe a theater space or do something with theater students, or maybe that's not an option, but point is that there's so many different places, like even just tabling. So honestly, that table number, I could be slightly off. Because we haven't been able to have sessions because we don't know how much we're gonna have, it's been harder to lock down the exact costs for everything. And so I figured whatever is, for example, the marketing budget could also be applied to extra tables, or I would love if we could have multiple points or like where we have elections. That's kind of what I would like to push for, extra tables and over by like the law school, maybe over by the education school, whereas predominantly it's always been at EMU.
And then obviously each school's gonna be different, so when they market to their students, they use different strategies. But are you guys looking to mimic any strategies that you guys know are effective at other universities, or do you guys just want similar budgets to market our?
So one of the things is like the incentive idea, getting people to get stickers or buttons. That was something I had seen other universities do. And I'm so bad with names, I'm sorry. I can't remember which schools. I don't know if I put it in here. The other thing I had seen, and we were looking at, I just don't know if we have enough time, but like having schools compete. So I was thinking if maybe, depending on their budget and how we can market it, is if we don't have schools compete, what about having maybe organizations of like having or different ways of making it a little bit competitive. Also, good stories, good things will attract people's attention. So we could just have even, people running out with flyers and about this, having conversations as we're handing out packets or, the different things. I feel like that again is going to reach those people who like don't access social media, and that is stuff I've seen in other schools too. Is having multiple different ways and actually connecting with the community more. That's options I was looking at.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the point of connecting with students that are not in clubs, like you were talking about, not every student is in a club. Every student is in a class. Could you speak to why the decision of no class reps, or like, yeah?
So the hard part, and I was a big fan. I wanted to do class reps so bad. I love when like certain aspects come in. The hard part, and how do we make that fair for all? Your 5-people team. We are trying to get volunteers, but honestly, we need volunteers for those 3 major events. And so trying to just sometimes schedule the things that we have to do doesn't allow us to reach all the classes. Now, have I still kind of thought about maybe getting a class in each department? Yes. But again, we're looking at time as well as money, if that's going to be possible. And how many students are we actually going to reach with just one class? There's no way we could obviously reach every class. I would love to do that. We're just finding out how much more we're having to take on. Again, going up that uphill battle. How do we reach as many students with the little bit of time we have?
That's fair. In my experience personally, I myself was able to go to 11 classes. So if you times that by 5 and went across, if there's a mailing list and things like that, if you guys wanted to do classes, contact. If you guys want to do that, I think that you should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I will definitely keep that in mind. I know that we've thought about it, because we are limited in incorporating more maybe senators or someone who could go with us. Again, we're trying to figure out how do we come across unbiased with that though, because we don't want people being like, oh, the election board supports this specific senator or this slate or platform. So that's what we're trying to figure out. That's a fine line to walk.
Like where else would you get?
And that's the hard part, because most people are part of something, and we also don't want to be like showing like we're all.
I yielded, yeah.
Senator Quincy.
I just wanted to vocalize my support for this. I think, first of all, without the election board, most of us wouldn't be here. So I want to give a shout out to them and for the elections that they run year in and year out. Thank you. And I also want to thank you all for digging into these questions and recognizing some of the issues that are going on. I last year was campaigning in the law school and everyone was like, I ignore emails from main campus. And so I was like, okay, so you got to open the email and delete. And maybe what? Yeah, right there on the page. And so I appreciate that and digging into it. I also think like I got involved with ASUO because I had a friend recommend that I get involved, and there's a lot of amazing people on campus who don't have that friend to say come join ASUO. And without more advertising and this outreach that you're looking into, we're missing out on a lot of amazing people who should be in the room. And so with that, I will yield. I'm in support.
All right, Smith, and then we got three senators.
Thank you all for coming here today. I had a couple of questions down. So I first saw this number for tables and equipment, which is $1,000, marketing for 1,500. I'm interested in a lot of them, probably besides, I think food makes sense. Could you break down some of these individual numbers, like what's gonna go where for that $1,000 or how you came to those estimates?
So part of it was working off an old budget. I'll be honest, I didn't really break it down further because I am still stuck in that part of depending on how much money we have. Like I was trying to work with the events and planning team, and we aren't like given like a menu with how much everything costs. And so it's kind of like in a negotiation. And so why I kind of picked that budget was I was like, look, either we're gonna have that kind of money or hopefully something from somewhere else to do like catering, or hopefully $500 and not for a bunch of pizza.
Yeah, I definitely think I mean, I can see where you got the food. As far as tablings and equipment, I'm a little curious. I used to run Oscar students.
I used to do Oscar at Atlanta.
That's so cool. But that was just our tables don't really cost that much. We got to do them for, besides the initial materials, which are like a tablecloth and posters we make ourselves. Oftentimes they can just be free or little money. So that's just what I wanted to hear about the breakdown specifically.
Over budget for table. I'm sorry, were you still going?
No. I was just gonna say I would definitely support this request in the future if I just saw more of a breakdown versus like a general estimate. But if you had more to add there, I don't want it to be like
Well, like I said, my issue with putting more exact numbers is I don't really have complete exact numbers. Like you said, you were talking about 3 tables. I think we've looked and entertained 8 to 10. But the thing is that if I got a little bit more in my budget, I would love to have tables, like I said, over by the law, place, by the, maybe the opening at, the corner 13th and University Hall. But, like just different spots that don't normally get attention. And kind of the same with, there's also like the table covers, like the ring. And then there was also things about like if you wanted equipment, like microphones, and then there was things about like banners. And so if we were just having flat tables, yeah. But then also, what if we have like balloons? What if we have big things that are like people can't help but look at us? That's tough. I'm like loud and I try to get attention. Does that up? So that's kind of where I was kind of adding that.
I definitely think that just to add, with the rough estimates, while they are rough estimates, they will be used. Like we plan on using every dollar, and we have ideas to use every dollar. So even if the number is a little higher than maybe we need for bare necessities, we will make the most of it.
That sounds really good. I think I'm good, but thank you.
kind of add that too. The nice thing is what we're planning and trying to set up again is so that the election board has a better setup a little bit from what we kind of started last year. Because we just kind of have what they spent, but like we don't know if those costs are the same. And so I feel like we can give a little bit better like training for the future so people can be more prepared instead of us having to spend so much time.
Yeah, I felt like in the past, the elections committee kind of makes a new plan every year.
Yeah.
And like solid year by year by year. So,
We actually fixed a little bit of that with our election rules. I don't know if you've checked the election rules, but we made it to where, for the most part, they're gonna stay the same unless we need to make an adjustment. And that just gives us a little more time to do all these other things. Awesome. Thank you. We definitely keep that in mind.
Understand.
Yeah, I think it's like the second what Senator Stevenson was saying when it comes to classes. Not that y'all should have to go to that many classes because that is a lot of your time. But I would recommend, like, I think a good idea would be trying to go to at least some of those larger level classes, especially because they have like 200, 300 students sometimes. And then also like the entry or the first year grad student classes as well, because those are general requirements as well, both depending on the field of study. But I think definitely just like dipping into the pool would just be really great. Like, unfortunately, it is very difficult to reach all those people, but just trying the broadest outreach as possible, I think, is quite a priority. And I'm just gonna make the motion. I move to Oh, okay. I call the question.
On the second, or two people on the second list, we moved to, but the question's been called, so we'll vote on whether to vote or whether to end discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Nay. Roll call, starting with Perez. Nay. Peters. Jim. O'Neill. Taylor. Smith. Nay. Robert Heffernan. Robert.
Nay.
Nay. Ahmed Yefed. Jacob Hiscox. Chisholm. Nagarajan.
Nay.
Nay.
Purdue. F. Bailey. Morel. Moraga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Westbury.
Aye.
Inman.
Nay.
And the motion was rejected, so we'll continue deliberation going to Senator Staff.
Oh, wonderful. I have a couple questions for you guys. Firstly, has any marketing money gone unspent in previous years? Say like just call last year maybe?
I mean, we have the funding that they used last year, my understanding was completely used. I mean, we don't have really, we have $600 for everything we're supposed to do. So budget was like I said, it was just under 3,000. I don't really know what, I did not research what they went to do to get that budget. But my understanding is it has been higher in the past. And I think the hardest part is we have very limited time, and without funding, then they're fortunately everybody wants us to do. That's the hard part.
What's everything that everybody wants you to do?
So my understanding is increase voter turnout, and then to have some of these events and to run the actual kind of like elections. And those aren't things that, you know, if those aren't done by us that we pay for, then they don't get done.
I think something that might be a sticking point among my cohort here is that it appears that it seems like there isn't a very concrete plan on what to do with the funding, especially the marketing funding. Like, I think maybe, oh yeah. Do I need to repeat anything I said or? Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that I'd be in favor of approving a motion containing the venues, food, tables, and equipment line items, and maybe to ask you guys to come back next week with a plan on what to do for marketing and merchandising. Because frankly, I think if you guys were more prepared, I think you could ask for a lot more as well.
I mean, here's the thing, we had a rush. I mean, when it comes down to it, we're hitting deadlines upon deadlines. I did this super fast because this is a fair minimum. Drop down to 3,000, but you're gonna get what you pay for. And I'm not trying to like be a little harsh around this, but it's incredibly difficult to work out any whole pricing structure without knowing where we're actually being able to allocate those funds. So even if we're, I said marketing because my understanding getting this position, the top priority was increasing voter turnout. When I got the position, I realized that's not incredibly, I mean, it's not realistic with all the things we already have to do. And that's really what it comes down to is we kind of have to outsource some of these things that we would like to do, like doing class reps. We just don't have the time or the ability or the staff.
Telling me it's not feasible to come back at a later date.
I mean, we can, but we would have to push back other things, and unfortunately, certain things would not get accomplished probably if we have to keep pushing back. Being able to set up and finalize pricing and venues and the catering. I mean, we're looking at April 1st. That's barely a month away, and that's one of our top goals. So if we have no funding for anything else, we're not going to do any marketing. We're going to do maybe the debate, and we'll do the election. Can't really do much on that.
So if we were to ask you to return next week with a better plan, what exactly would that be?
What I can't guarantee is that we're gonna focus on that because at this point, really, we're gonna focus on what we can get done in the little time that we have. So if we don't get our funding, I mean, we could come back and we could keep pushing this out. And maybe we might be more exact to what you guys need for numbers. I can't guarantee that though, because right now we're looking at not getting quotes because we can't even come to the table with any money.
Or like less like getting close. I think the question's more like for each one of these things, like the game plan for each one, like the step 1, the step 2, the step.
I'm not really
three,
seeing
like
a game
for
plan.
venues, like what's the exact, what's the date, like or just having things be more like a game plan for each one of those line items instead of like a broad picture of like marketing, like what is the exact marketing plan for day 1? Like once we get these funds, we're going straight here and we're doing this and this is our plan for like the next step. I think more.
Yeah.
It's hard to narrow that down though. And are we getting pizzas or are we actually getting catering? I've tried to get catering pricing. I can't even get full catering pricing. And so I think those little details maybe seem easy and I could make up those numbers, but I'm not getting feedback on those numbers. I could utilize what we used last year, but then we might be off on something. So again, if you don't like the way it's set up, I don't know if I can guarantee I'm gonna have a pricing for every single item is what I'm trying to say.
I want to be abundantly clear that myself and my colleagues are all very in favor of the work that you do, and we appreciate that it's going. But that you do the work that you do, and our intention is to get you the most money you can in order to get the most impact possible. So when I say I think it'd be a positive solution for you to come back at a later week with a game plan and hopefully even a larger ask, I think they go over a lot well. I want more money in your pocket, but more so than anything, I want whatever money does end up there to go as far as possible. I'm sure we all want a guarantee that it's going to be going quite far. Hey, Quadrian, can I make a motion to approve just a couple line items?
You can make a motion to amend the current motion on the floor. So you could say like, I move to amend the current motion to the amount of this dollar amount. We vote on it.
Can I have to stack again for that?
No, we can do it right now.
Okay.
There is.
Yeah. By the way, I think. Okay. You said I moved to revise. Is that the word for it?
Amend.
I moved to amend the spending from surplus to group ASUO elections board OS number OS not 35I, the amount of $5,000 to the amount $3,000 to include line items, venue, food, tables, and equipment. the line item, to the line item elections. Is that, did I do that properly? Okay, thank you, Adrian. Someone have to second that.
Clerk Stevenson. Okay, then we vote instantly on whether to amend the current motion on the floor to the new dollar.
Thank you, Adrian.
Dollar now 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000, please.
Starting with Perez. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher. Taylor. Smith.
Nay.
Nay.
Copperhead.
Nay.
Heffernan. Ahmad Diabek. Jenkins Hiscox. Chisholm. Nagaraju. Stevenson. Purdue.
Nay.
Smith.
Aye.
Bailey.
Nay.
Morel. Darrell.
Nay.
Fisher. Lexberry.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Nay.
And I say nay. The motion is rejected, so the amount stays at $5,000 and we'll continue deliberation. Yield. I yield. Thank you, Senator Hopper. Then Perez, Broussard, you're on the second list, but we do have a few board versus still.
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, at this point, a little redundant. I think that my main concern is the marketing. The other prices I think are a little more reasonable. I am just a little worried about the amount of marketing that can be done in a month, and that cost. I also do want to push back at the idea that like if an amount of money is given to an org for anything, that they should attempt to use the full amount. So that part's a little concerning as well, especially if it starts to become just like more like fluff sort of items, like buying extra decorations or something that isn't like 100% necessary when it could be returned to surplus. But yeah, that's what I know.
Smith.
Do you guys have the debate booked, scheduled?
We're working on it, yeah, it's still, right now we're in the meeting, waiting for the finalization. It's, I know that I've already talked to, I believe it's Justin, who said that your understanding is gonna be $600 for the, ballroom, and so, great. Okay, and so we're just kind of waiting to finalize what that invoice is gonna look at. We're waiting on an email of what they did last year, so we can try, but they can't give us, like, I've asked many times, can we have a menu? Do we have some kind of way to figure this out? And they're just like, no, because of various different reasons they gave me, they can't do it without knowing exactly how we want to set everything up. And honestly, you know, that marketing number, I just kind of had that one be bigger because in essence, a lot of that stuff is for marketing. I mean, everything I kind of laid in there is for marketing. And we've had to work so hard just kind of working on this part. So I'm sorry if I sound a little frustrated, but like we can't even do the stuff we really want to do because we've had to do so much research and so much time because we just have had to come up to the table with nothing and constantly having to pivot on which direction and then trying to set, you know, this up so that we can understand. So the hardest part is trying to get everything nailed down because we don't even know what we get to work with. And I think moving forward, I've talked to some of the other Senate members about having to redo election board because if we got to walk in and we knew exactly what we got to work with and it was a reasonable amount, we wouldn't have had to waste so much time getting to here being like, okay, now we're at a deadline and we don't have time to really do anything. So I guess that's kind of where I'm like, I don't want to push this back one more week because we're already so far behind because of the budget issue that in essence, it was not reasonable to begin with, especially when they had almost $3,000 expense last year.
I just asked because they currently can't do, at least in the EMU, they can't start booking any more places that have canopies, ballrooms, redwood. They can't do any more of that, and so for any like new events that aren't currently booked, like, that's not.
We're in discussion, so my understanding is that we have, at least for the April 1st date, we have a reservation. We're just waiting on getting the actual invoice and then how we're figuring out table date.
Just in reference to like what the more tablings might cost, what more venues might cost, like those things just potentially aren't
a possibility.
And if we can't get the dates that we need in tabling, then we also gotta figure out, okay, well then what? And my biggest issue too is honestly, I don't wanna have to come back here and ask for more money. I mean, I can't imagine, based on all the different ideas and ways we wanna outreach, us not utilizing that in a positive way and building the at least structure she mentioned of how to do this better and keep growing. Cause you know, we're kind of starting in ground zero this year and big just to get the leg up, so.
I think something that we've really struggled with on this committee and something that kind of led us to having this discussion without more exact metrics is that when we were given the election committee, there was, and one of the senators had kind of mentioned this, it changes every year. Like there is no uniform way this committee has worked. They have been given different numbers every year. There has been a lack of organization. There's a lack of information on how past years have done things or how they utilize their budget. You just have a lot of missing gaps, a lot of missing information that we cannot go into the past and make up. So one of our big priorities is uniforming everything so that next year and the years after, like they have a structure in place and so that they can look at, okay, this is what they did last year. This is how they did this. This is how they utilized and allocated their budget. And also so that next year when they get onto election committee, they don't have to wait like a month or so trying to just figure out these numbers that it's not like that information just doesn't exist for the election committee. So yeah, it's something we struggle with and it probably has a lot to do with why maybe it feels like we're a little unprepared today. I do.
Senator Chisholm.
Do you guys talk with us this whole time? My first thing is, I do want to say that I support like the overall plan. I do think that the voter turnout needs to be a lot higher, but I do want to remind everybody on the Senate that we voted both of them in, and we did trust their passion, their ideas at the time, and I think that we should trust that. And I know that we're like, well, we still have like what $300,000, and like I want y'all to try new things because we should be prioritizing students at the Senate and getting them more involved and giving them more say and like somewhat autonomy with their own government because they're the ones paying money to go to the school. And I think we should be trying everything that we need to reach them. But I do know that everyone's a little shaky on some of the things right now, so I have three kind of concerns on that. So first is with the student groups. There are a lot of undergrad ones, but there are grad school groups that are ASU funded. Like there's like 4 different like law ones specifically for different people. But yeah, if you're gonna be a list of like any all the groups and stuff, and you go downstairs, I think Nicole Nelson should have a whole thing.
So we are actually working on getting a volunteer kind of document made so we can have volunteers. And then we're also looking, and a little reason our marketing's a bit delayed too is because we want to incorporate that to get people, because I also think if we can get volunteers and more people participating and get involved, we gotta like make it sound fun because, you know, I don't think a lot of people have even heard of the election board. And I think that's really another point of our marketing. It's like, we want people to be aware that like the election board is pretty, you know, important in the aspect that we can be a place where people don't feel like they're getting a tug of war. And I think the current climate of politics in the world, I think there's a lot of tug of war, and I think there's a lot of reason why people avoid it. So I feel like we as election board can show up in a neutral place, and I think when we get volunteers, we'll really work hard on that educational aspect, and so then we can have maybe multiple tables and spread ourselves a little more. It's kind of the idea. Sure.
Let's correct myself earlier there. Apparently, my fault. Not regrets. But okay. How much was the budget last year?
I don't remember. It was under. It was 26, 28, and I do apologize, I don't have the exact number, we could have one of our people here more on that aspect. And again, though, I think the hardest part is like most of their marketing was focused on social media, which really doesn't cost any money. So that's another reason, again, I'm kind of made it a little bigger, so we can kind of like shooting in the dark. I looked at pricing regarding if you were to get pins, like again, how many pins should we get? You know, 500 to 1,000 pins with our special logo on it. I think, you know, it could be anywhere to $1 a pin. You know, yeah, I could get a penny a pin, but then it wouldn't have our logo and I got to write stuff on it and it looks ghetto. So I'm sorry. And that's kind of what I meant about like the cost is like, yes, we could go lower, but then we're gonna probably look cheap and not have the, you know, professional, this is important aspect of the student body. And it's not, I think, I mean, unfortunately, I've heard people, you know, say they don't take it seriously. And I really want to show up and show it's worth taking seriously.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say I do have like a lot of respect for the work you guys do, and I think that it is really important. I'm just also like similarly concerned about like 30% of the request being for marketing. I think that there is like a lot of effective election outreach that can be done at that is like low cost, not just through social media, but also through like emails or like classroom announcements and the tabling that you're talking about. I also just think that since you have around $600 available in your current budget, that could reasonably cover like a portion of it.
No, that's actually how much the ballroom is supposed to cost. And then regarding, I mean, I didn't know what you're talking about, but just regarding the other part, the biggest issue we're seeing is social media is cheaper options last year. And we're trying to kind of not necessarily avoid it, but not rely completely on it. And the harder part is if we don't rely on that, then the other options are looking to cost money. And that's kind of where that's the hard part. Like I would love to just do in person. Originally when I started, that's what I wanted to do. But the hard part is now we're looking at time, funding, you know, and if we were doing all this time spent reaching out in these other directions, we wouldn't necessarily have the time to work on like the pamphlets, the educational flyers, these other things that also need to go with the different events.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think I would just be more comfortable supporting like a reduced amount that reflects what actually needs to be paid for, instead of like budgeting for marketing that could be done for free as opposed to what needs to be paid for. But like I understand like the timeline being tight. I think the election is like over a month away, generously. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I yield.
Last person on the first list.
Okay. Or what specifically problems have you run into with not having money already? Like I just did not having the money and then like figuring out how much money you need. Whereas where have you been struggling specifically?
So just as an example, just to book the venue, you know, like we have to have that money prepared and they haven't even given us the full cost. We're kind of going based off that last year and what we've heard is the cost. And that again, we're not even fully understanding if it's just the room or if that's incorporating, you know, everything else. We're still kind of, like I said, negotiations, and that's probably one of the biggest issues. Another example is working with advertisement options with the newspaper. Again, they're like, what's your budget? And I'm like, let me get back to you. I'm working on it, you know, and it just, I feel like there's a lack of professionalism, unfortunately, when I'm having to show up at the tables here trying to negotiate pricing and I don't even have an actual number. And I think that's really why we rushed getting this to you is because we know at the very, I mean, the numbers we've been going off of are crazy high and we're trying to we're incorporating free aspects as much as possible and trying to utilize community options too. But the problem is again, we're having to work and constantly being repivoting of like, okay, well, we can't get a cost for like the catering. And so now we've got to also figure out, well, what happens if we go pizza? Is there a cheaper option than pizza? Do we need decorations? Or are we just going to look plain? You know, are we going to have, you know, a way of, you know, having handouts at the actual debate explaining, or are we just going to announce it? Are we going to, you know, have even trying to go up the department that's in charge of like the printing press stuff? Like again, they're like wanted to be like, what's your budget? We'll work with you. And I'm like, I don't know. And I think that's the biggest issue is this, you know, at a professional level, kind of hard to be like, I don't know what our budget is. I don't, can you give me, you know, what you're working with? And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, it's such a major difference depending on what you're needing and want. We need to know what you're working with. So that's kind of the back and forth. Can't go anywhere in the negotiations with the heart.
I guess my only real thought on that is like shoot for the people that you want to reach, and then the budget that you get is for that amount of people. And if we don't like that number, then we talk that down. But you should come to us with what you think you need to run this campaign, and like don't let us tell you at the start what you need, because you're in this role to decide that.
I mean, that was the hard part at the beginning of this role. What I was told of the role did not quite match what I walked into. And that I think is the hardest part. Is as much as I love building my team, I think I've got the most amazing team ever. All I get to see is over and over our hands being tied to move forward with what we're trying to do because of financial issues. And so also, like, I really wanted, you know, fulfill the promise of trying to increase voter turnout. And quite honestly, we have nothing to really compare it against us. And like, for example, like we're just now keeping track of like the different slates and the different forms being turned in so we can actually utilize this data later on. And so there's just a lot of other aspects that unfortunately we have been wasting so much time on having to get information because we don't have our budget. Okay, we're going to try something different. We're going to try something different. And I think that's really the key elements of making. I, in fact, am going to work really hard after the election season and writing my perspective of my experience and seeing how we can move forward to have a better place for elections. Because starting with a $600 budget and just really, like I said, it's a ballroom and we don't even like the debate. You know, I got told that, you know, at one point that somebody thought the debate was run by the newspaper. Absolutely not. It's run by us. You know, so there's those little things like that where I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. Oh wait, oh my gosh, now I do. You know. So yeah,
no, I don't think it's unusual to come to ASUO and discover that like nobody has written down anything of like how things were previously, or the things that were done previously weren't done correctly, or were just done without a full knowledge of like what you can do. So I really empathize with your frustration, and I really hope that in your role with you guys, you can like figure it out. So the next election board committee doesn't have to go through this bullshit again. It's quite frankly, it's like ridiculous that a student government has existed for this long, and like an elections board can't run itself because the previous people who were in it could not figure out how to write down what they did or how they did it. Okay, I yield.
Organize or order or like so. I am very proud. We at least did like election rules. I'm like, we've made it, accomplished it, even if it's just that we don't have to redo the election rules every time. So yeah, time to do that change.
All right. So we made it into the second minutes bureaucracy. So I am going to set a commit timer on each person now from now on, including the response. So please try to keep the response brief. So Gil, and Gil, sorry.
So y'all, I just wanted to ask, when did y'all, or when did you specifically and the rest of your committee get hired for this job?
I started October, a little mid-November. Two others, Liva and December 3rd, and then Jimmy mid-January.
Okay, cool. In that time, were you able to find any volunteers that planning on doing tabling or class reps or anything like that? Or any like campus-wide emails for outreach?
So we have been pretty much just trying to organize and figure out where to work and how to kind of tackle this project. And so we have been making up different ideas for flyers. We have not actually produced anything because I think also the other issue is we want to be very clear with our message and make sure that it's being shown in the best possible way over and over.
Yeah, sorry, I definitely understand that. It just has been 4 months or so, and I think a campus-wide email to find volunteers or even going around talking to people individually would be really beneficial. I also think like something I'm individually struggling with, and I know a lot of people here as well, is if this request was made a couple weeks ago, or even a month ago, it would have been way easier for us to say, okay, this is where we want to move, this is where we can change the advise this thing. Because this is happening so late, 1 month before the actual deadline, not only is our surplus decreased, but your time's decreased. I mean, I'm feeling a pressure to vote yes on this, even though I don't think we should, because I don't feel like there's a plan in order. So yeah, and you've talked about the ballroom as well. I know it's a $600 budget, but could that not be booked like now, regardless of this funding?
Like you're saying, don't book it?
No, I'm saying could you have just booked it a week ago or 2 weeks ago with
We've
the
been
fund that you
working
had?
on it for like 2 or 3 weeks, actually. So I think the hard part is not working in the election board. It's not very obvious to everyone all the things we have to do. And so, for example, we have to make the rules. I don't know how much you guys know about like the process we have to go through just to make the rules. There's also the process that we have to set up the actual calendar. We have to do various different things prior, and that's not counting taking, breaks from school. It's not counting just trying to get my team to line up and learn all over different spots. It's taken us about 3 or 4 months to finally get, like, we all know what we're doing. We're all being able to move forward. We're all being able to finally connect. And so it's been January predominantly when we have been working on these ideas.
I got one more question. So do you think, considering this, how the term has gone so far and how you feel, it seems you felt behind, in the future, would you say we should hire people earlier? Is this a different hiring time than we've done in years prior?
So the problem is, my understanding is I'm supposed to start like last year in essence, like the end of the year. And the problem is when I did start, there wasn't really enough to understand how it was supposed to work. So I'm having to understand how it worked on top of doing all these other things, like training the committee members and so forth. What we are trying to work towards is we would suggest having longer terms for the commissioners, having also an actual realistic budget. Having those two options would have allowed us to have so many more.
And then I just am going to move forward now. Senator Madariaga.
Okay, so just to attempt to kind of get us out of this, I think, yeah, I support what you guys want to do with broadening the reach of the elections and everything. But I don't think the 5K is going to pass, at least not tonight. So I want to amend my first motion so we can. Okay, I move to amend. I move to authorize spending from surplus to group ASU Elections Board OS number OS 035I in the amount of $3,000 to existing line item elections.
Thank you, Questenberry.
Motion made by Madariaga, seconded by Questenberry. Motion to amend the current motion from $5,000 to $3,000. Vote by roll call. Starting with Perez. Should have 100,000 from 5,000 to 3,000. Perez. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher. Neal. Taylor. Smith. Taylor.
Aye.
Broussard. Aye. Bombardier. Ned. Amodiva. David Cox.
Aye.
Shibden. Nagarajan.
Aye.
Stevenson. Aye. Purdue.
Aye.
Smith. Aye. Bailey.
Aye.
Burrell. Madariaga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Questenberry.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye. 4 days, it passes, so the motion is now $3,000. We'll continue deliberation with Daryaga, you.
I you.
Senator Stevenson,
I use.
Senator Smith.
I think that a big issue that is making us have not a very productive conversation is the fact that there is no plan, and usually, and this isn't to say like you guys have a lot of work and I understand that, but usually like the structure of it is that if there's an unallocated like unfunded organization, they usually come to us with set budgets for everything, and that makes it a little bit easier to like digest and go through. And so I think that it's not the most productive conversation because we don't have like that tangible thing to look at. And I know a lot of people have been waiting a long time, and I think that this might not be the best spent time right now, and I'd rather have organizations go and have this a little bit later. So I move to table the surplus request from ASU Elections Board.
Second, Stevenson.
Technically, we have a motion for the dollar amount, so that would have to get denied first before we make a thing. Or, but you could call the question, we could vote on the dollar amount of 3,000. All current 3 people on the speakers list. 4 people on the speakers list. Go to vote, starting Perez. Aye. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher. O'Neill. Taylor.
Aye.
I'm gonna start over. So over $3,000.
Hey, Quadrian, after, like, if this is denied, then will Senator Smith's motion to table this still stand?
No, if this is denied, it would, there need to be a new motion.
Okay, thank you, Quadrian.
So I'm gonna start with Perez. Aye. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher. Aye. O'Neill. Changing the amount to $5,000.
No, voting.
Sorry, voting on the $3,000 amount.
We're voting on the question, yeah.
You have $3,000. Okay, end discussion. Taylor.
Aye.
Smith. Broussard. Nay. Hopper Day.
Aye.
Heffernan.
Aye.
Almadia Vick. Jenkins and Cox.
Aye.
Chisholm. Nagarajan.
Aye.
Stevenson. Purdue.
Aye.
Smith.
Nay.
Bailey.
Aye.
Morel. Daryaga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Westbury.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye. And the motion passes. Questions being called, so we'll now move to vote on the $3,000 amount. Starting with Perez. Nay. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher.
Nay.
O'Neill.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Smith. Broussard. Aye. Hopperden.
Aye.
Heffernan. David. Jacob Hickox. Chisholm. Nagarajan.
Aye.
Stevenson. Purdue. Smith.
Nay.
Haley.
Wait, what is this one?
This is calling the question on $3,000. They're not calling this the $3,000 vote.
A.
Morel. Daryaga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Westonberry.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye. Eight days, the motion passes, so we haven't allocated $3,000, but you are more than welcome to put another request in there. Capitalize on the marketing things and come present. But
And then I hopefully being able to have an idea of what we can actually work with, I'll have a better idea of what will actually be costs, so.
well, thank you guys so much.
Oh, gosh, thank you.
Have a great night.
I appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, and then I am gonna call a quick 5-minute recess, but it is actually 5 minutes, so set your timers. I'm beginning to go in 5 minutes, so.
Yeah,
A native color.
Getting out.
For what?
Oh, so-
Wait. You put in there.
Okay, yeah, you're good. You're good, right?
Hey, to the organizations waiting, please eat the free food. Please.
Oh,
I don't know, that's, I mean, it's here. So they could have gotten all. Yeah. Yes, it's mildly.
How are you feeling?
In the air, I feel a lot last year. On February, they got. For us. Well, it's now.
Oh my god, the buttons will be ghetto. The buttons will be ghetto. I won a lecture. That was you guys.
Immediately, yeah.
No, it's not.
Fundamentally and realistically. You're right.
Like which Oh, hi, how do you walk into the plane? Right? Yeah, you have John. Let's see you kind of get a size. I was thinking, like, I don't have anything else.
Yeah. More.
Oh man, like I'm missing my boat.
I mean,
Like, if you get one, you gotta get two.
I don't know.
Like you guys are
I just said don't, but I
You only have
so much for the fun fact. Oh yeah.
All right, calling or restoring order, we will now hear the request from the Industrial Designer Society of America. Thank you guys for being here. Can you come out to introduce yourselves, just talk a little about your question.
Hi, so we are IDSA, or Industrial Designer Society of America. We're just going to introduce ourselves really quick. My name is Chloe. I'm one of the co-presidents. I'm Eva. I'm the treasurer.
I'm Jordan, I'm one of the project coordinators.
I'm Megan. I'm a junior executive.
I'm Aiden, I'm the other co-president.
I'm Karina. I'm a junior executive.
I'm Logan, I'm also junior executive.
I'm Cindy. I'm also a junior executive. So our gala is an annual thing that we hold at the very end of the year, every single year. It's our fourth consecutive gala for of a club that's only been around for about 5 years or so. This is a huge event for us, for students in product design, but also the students of our general design and friends community, where we can come together and celebrate what we accomplished throughout the year, as well as just develop relationships with each other, with our professors, with professional development. More so, everyone is invited. We invite our entire community. We invite our peers to invite their friends, invite their family. We've had parents come, professors bring their kids, bring their spouses. So it's a huge melting pot of this friends and community. And we like to grow stronger together by mixing everyone. Our theme this year is Pattern Promenade. And we're expecting around 200 guests, but we're honestly expecting that number might be a little bit higher. In the past, we usually grow about 50 people per year. So last year was about 150, and then we're slowly expanding that number as we ourselves as a club expand on campus. So throughout the night, we showcase student and professor work. We do interactive games such as musical stools. The story behind that is we have a studio class where we build a stool as a freshman. So it's kind of a fun way to celebrate student work and kind of showcase some of the woodwork that students get to learn their very first year. We also give out fun different awards. I was the group project GOAT last year. So kind of things like that, just to recognize certain students and the roles that people play in our community. And typically we do tickets are about $5 for students to attend our events. Also, we do hold our event. This year it'll be on June 5th, which happens to fall on our final review day. So for product design, what we do is Friday of week 10, we have what we call our final reviews at our off-campus building in Olive. You guys have probably never heard of it or seen it, but it's there. It's a super awesome little building where we kind of have our cohort. And then the Friday of week 10, every single term is when we have our junior reviews to really celebrate the amazing progress and work that's been done. And final review, spring term, is when we have our gala to kind of bring that all together and really commemorate everything.
If you go to the next slide, I'll run down our budget. I want to make an important note that we're actually lowering our request on Engage. So the original request was $5,000, and we're actually only requesting $4,500. Okay, so for dinner, we are doing Old Spaghetti Factory, which we are currently in the process of getting them approved as a vendor. We're almost there with getting them so we're able to external PO. We're gonna have four different pastas, including like dietary restrictions, and salad and bread plus a 20% tip brings that to $1,867. And the next slide is dessert. We're doing Sweet Life, which is what we had last year. It was a big hit. So an assortment of desserts plus the $20 tip brings it to $854. And 2 slides after that one is drinks from Costco, which is also what we did last year, and also like UO catering for the water. And that total is $176. And then on the next slide, we are planning to rent out the EMU ballroom, so that's like fee for that, as well as the EMG photo booth rental. We did $60 last year, and that was really fun as well. And the remaining $303 will be for decorations as well as food serving supplies like plates, cutlery, stuff like that. And I also want to note that we just applied for co-sponsorship from the McMillan Gallery, which is upstairs in the EMU. And if we are awarded that $1,000, we would return what we donate back to circles. And yeah, we're expecting to hear back from them at the end, like in 2 weeks, about. So that concludes our breakdown. You can go to the next slide for like all the total. So $1,867 for food, $854 for dessert, $176 for drink, $700 for room rental, $600 for photo booth, and the remaining $303 for decor and supplemental. Are there any questions?
We have breakdown very thorough. We appreciate it. Moving into deliberation, we'll start with everybody.
Hi, thanks for being here tonight and being the action. I just want to say that I really like this, and I would like to make a motion to approve this. So I moved to authorize spending from surplus to Group Industrial Designers Society of America OS number OS 210I to existing line item IDSA Gala in the amount of $4,500.
Motion made by Purdue, seconded by Stevenson. And now move forward in deliberation with Senator Smith. Thank you guys for waiting. One question I had, the 1,800 for food, what kind of went into your guys' decision with the Spaghetti Factory? Was there like kind of cheaper options or what went that?
Yeah, last year we ordered pastini and it was significantly more expensive. So this year, Chloe actually works at Old Spaghetti Factory, so we figured it would work out really well to add them as an approved vendor. And it just seemed like the more cost-efficient option considering the surplus conditions this year.
Awesome, thank you so much. I have a motion for needed to vote. We can move the vote. Starting with Perez, Peters.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
O'Neill.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Broussard. Operative.
Aye.
Heffernan. Diape. Jenkins Hiscox. Chisholm. Nagarajan.
Aye.
Stevenson. Aye. Purdue.
Aye.
Smith. Aye. Bailey.
Aye.
Burrell. Aye. Madariaga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Westmere.
Aye.
Ludeman.
Aye.
And I say aye as well. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much.
And Senator Chisholm.
I wonder if we stay to the Senate right now, like, I don't know how many people thought that it was okay that Cassie just used the word ghetto, but it offended multiple people here, and it's Black History Month. I don't know if y'all sense any type of energy when I heard it, but I couldn't really speak for a sec because I didn't believe she just had the audacity. I feel like it's like you guys cannot be calling yourselves allies and not
saying anything when that happens. Every single person who spoke before I got the chance before that stopped, I don't think you deserve to be calling yourself an ally. That was not okay. It made that's a real life example of a microaggression. And using ghetto as a noun, you're talking about perhaps some more like the Jewish concentration camps. When you use it as an adjective, you're talking about the Black community. And I just feel so disappointed that nobody said anything right there. And I think that we need to do better, especially if you want to call yourself a liberal, especially if you want to call yourself woke or open or anything really. That just made me so uncomfortable, and I can't believe nobody said anything. And I'm mad that I didn't get to say anything. But in the future, can we just please be more cognizant of that stuff? Because I just think that was so stupid. And I just heard Cassie talking in the hallway. She said she grew up that way, and that's just how she speaks. I don't care if she grew up learning how to speak that way. Quadrian had to tell her. Quadrian is still a man of color. We shouldn't be as the oppressed telling people what they did wrong. I know she could have said a lot worse. She could have made a better thing, but you're talking about pins, bro. There's no need to use that vernacular.
You want to respond, Senator Perez? Are you okay with Perez responding? Or actually, recognize immediately?
Yeah, I mean, it's very out of pocket. I don't think the context matters, but what was context? I missed it, so I also missed it.
She was talking about buttons and how expensive they're gonna be. If they're gonna be a penny, then they were gonna not have the logo and they're gonna be ghetto buttons. I don't even know what that means, but like I don't know if y'all want me to get a little radical on y'all right now, but like
Please do.
Ooh, you know, I know we're on a time crunch. We're on a time crunch. Okay, no, it's just you cannot be talk. Okay, no. I'll talk to you. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna
Please.
Okay, when you are commenting on if something is ghetto, aka this low class, low income neighborhood, whatever the fuck, you realize the systems that have happened to put people at the bottom in the first place and how they're not changeable. It's just like when she makes comments like that are compared to a way of living that nobody chose to live that way and are built off of just years, centuries, decades of just like oppression and just everybody shitting on people. Oh God. Okay, wait, this is being recorded. I don't think that was I just don't think that was okay. Like you shouldn't be comparing much less objects to groups of people who have been oppressed and enslaved in. Like I just don't think that was okay. Like in Black History Month, we have 3 more days. It's the shortest month of the year. Like I just thought was so stupid. Thanks for asking.
Thank you, Senator. Next up, we have the National Association for Music Education. Welcome, thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me. My name is Ellie Ogden. I'm a senior music education major, and I serve as the current president of the company. The reason for our surplus is really exciting things. Every year, we travel to music education specific conferences. One of our big goals as an organization is equitable access to music education. A lot of these conferences are really, really spendy. Even the registration can be upwards of $500 for college students, especially college students who are also student teaching or working. And so it's one of our really big pushes. We got approved for a slightly more expensive conference budget last year and a little bit this year, which is so exciting. Thank you. The conference that this specific
Can you guys get off your phones, please? It's very disrespectful to you too.
The specific conference that this request is for is the American Choral Directors Association Conference. It's a choir-specific music education conference. It happens in Tacoma. It alternates every year, a different city in the Pacific Northwest. And the reason for the surplus request is staying in Tacoma is really expensive. Every year, we've allocated a specific amount for hotels. Usually, we put 5 people in a room. We're all in the same major. We're really comfy, sharing one bathroom. But the hotels in Tacoma were not a fan of that. They said 4 people to a room maximum. We had already approved and had people take work off and plan. And so we had 10 people and it needed to be 3. which we thought was gonna be okay. We had about $2,000 left in our budget. It was 3,000, let me get the number. It was 3,300 and there was more. $3,337.66, which we did not have in our budget. This was a real shock. We've stayed in Spokane, we've stayed in Dallas, Texas, and all of them were much cheaper. We've also been able to do 2 rooms. And because of that, we were short $1,058. The request today is for $1,200, and we would be happy to return the remaining number to the Senate once all of this stuff is done. We requested the extra just for any additional that hotels sometimes have at checkout. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Very sorry you had to deal with that. That's super annoying.
It's good. It's like, oh, I just a couple of this.
Your guys' request is very well planned. Only got $1,200 for a conference is super good. So I'm definitely in support and any discussion with Senator Fisher.
Hi everyone, I'm not gonna make a motion. So I'm encouraging everyone. But I just wanted to say that I met with Ellie weeks ago and we talked about this request, and she has done a ton of work in putting it together, and she didn't give herself enough credit in this talk, but she has done a lot of planning to make it so that way this is the amount that it is. And I think it was very responsible of her, and I think she did a great job, and I am all on board with it. I yield.
Well, thank you for being so patient tonight. Yeah, as a fellow music major as well, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for you guys. So I would like to make the motion. I move to authorize spending from surplus to Group National Association for Music Education, OS number OS 159I, to existing line item conferences in the amount of $1,200.
Motion made by Purdue, seconded by Perez. You have any more questions? Oh, start with Perez. Peters.
Aye.
Fisher. O'Neill. Taylor. Taylor. Smith. Broussard. Opperman.
Aye.
Amogipe. Jacob Tipcott.
Aye.
Niven. Nagarajan.
Aye.
Stevenson. Purdue.
Aye.
Smith. Aye. Bailey. Morel.
Aye.
Nariaga. Fisher. Westbury. Ludeman. I say aye as well. Congrats.
Did you say someone on schedule?
Senator Stevenson.
Are we moving on to the next thing or no?
We were, yeah, but
Okay.
you made a comment.
No, this is moving on to the next thing also.
Oh, okay. Oh, on to the, yeah, okay, sweet, on to resolution.
Yeah, I'm gonna yield to Eric real quick.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Keyboy. I'm an external intern for LMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to thank all the clubs for like supporting us, and I want to give a big thanks to A2Go for like helping out on this resolution. All the support we got, like we really like wouldn't have gone to this point without all the support. And so just like first off, just want to express my gratitude. But basically, so what we've been working on is I want to shout out Gio Basan, the president of LMA. He reached out to Aidesville president Priscilla Moreno on because we want to demand a culture center, and so then to start working together, and eventually we decided to create a coalition, a Latin coalition, which basically is all the Latino clubs coming together and working on a resolution on things that we can do so we can get upper administration to give us a culture center. And we decided to meet every Friday, having coalition meetings and working on this document every Friday, things we can add, and basically on a resolution is just demanding things we want for the culture center, administration, why we need a culture center for Latino students. Me personally, I'm a Latino student, I'm Guatemalan. I'm a first generation student at UVO, and this is my first year here, and coming here, like it hasn't been easy to adapt. It's not much resources for Latino students on campus. I've kind of found my place through LMA, the club. That's kind of where I made all my friends, as well as the Latin clubs. But apart from those clubs, we don't really have like a space, like a safe space where we can like go between our classes, study, or like a place where we just feel like seen or represented on campus. It's really hard to find here, other than the MCC, of course. But again, like that's kind of just, it's all cultures and it's nice, of course. But I feel like from the people that I've talked to and some of my colleagues that are Latino as well, we would just kind of love for a place where we just feel seen and represented, especially through these very hard times. I know that some of my peers that are undocumented, they're like scared to go to classes. They don't, like especially through the remarks that the university has made recently, it's been really hard for a lot of the students that look like me. And I'm sure like a lot of you guys were here when Gio came and he gave his speech, which was really motivating. And so we didn't want to just, like sit aside and just have that speech be the only thing that gets shown. So we wanted to actually like do something and start action and do something for the better. So that's why we created a resolution, and it's just kind of just remarking things, and we just want a place where we feel represented and where we can come and we can, feel safe, make friends, and hopefully through the Culture Center, it's not just for me and like the students that are already here, but it's also for like the other Latino students that are yet to be at U of O and generations to come. And so because right now there's only like 16% of Latino students on campus actively right now, and from my experience, like coming to U of O was really scary, simply because like there's not many Latino students that choose this route. And so that kind of discourages a lot of like my people, for to say. And that's why sometimes like there can be Latino like students where like, no, I'm not gonna go to like university. I'd rather go to work because that's what my people tend to do. And so I think like if we get to have a Latin center that can push some Latino students to be more like, oh look, like they have a Latin cultural center, like there is space for us here, like there's a spot for us to and socialize. There's a spot for us to study, and like, oh, like we can do this, like I can get a bachelor's, we can do this. And so that's why from my point of view, it's very powerful to have a culture center. And there's plenty more reasons on the resolution. And I'd probably be here all night if I went through it all because it's a very long document. But so if I can talk about the $3 you guys will hear anyways. But that's kind of my spiel on it.
Just want to say thank you guys so much, because really like the resolution and like the center that we're pushing for is only possible because of students coming together, fighting for this, and like advocating for things in a collective group. So like thank you guys so much for all the work you do. Senator Stevenson, you want to read the resolution?
Yeah. Here it goes. The resolution to demand that motion. I move to adopt the resolution to demand the establishment of a UO Latinx Center, and then I go off from there. Okay. Topic: an ASUO Senate resolution demanding the establishment of a Latinx Cultural Center and institutional protection to support the safety and success of Latinx and undocumented students at the University of Oregon. Authors: ASUO President Priscilla Moreno, ASUO Senate Speaker Quadrian Gill, Senator Bridget Madariaga, Senator Robin Bailey, Senator Marisol Peters, Senator Cole Stevenson, Senator Meme O'Neill. Co-authors: the Latinx Student Coalition, LMA, Mujeres, and MECHA. And the co-sponsors: the Radical Organizing Activist Resource Center, or the ROAR Center, Chinese Student Association, CSA, Asian and Pacific American Student Union, APASU, South Asian Cultural Alliance, SACA, Black Men of Achievement, BMA, Black Student Union, or BSU, Japanese Student Association, JSA, National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, Black Women of Achievement, BWA, Latina Male Alliance, LMA, UO, Young Democratic Socialists of America, UO-YDSA, UO Student Workers United Auto Workers, Local 8121, parentheses UOSW/UAW, Sigma Lambda Beta International Fraternity Incorporated, Graduate Teaching Fellows Federation GTFF-ATF Local 3544, Lambda Sigma Gamma Sorority Incorporated, Omega Delta Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and the Native American Student Union. Whereas Oregon has been a sanctuary state for almost 40 years, as the Oregon Revised Statute, ORS, that was signed in 1987, which prohibits the use of state and local law enforcement resources to detect or apprehend persons whose only violation is being undocumented. Whereas in 2021, the Oregon State Legislature reaffirmed its sanctuary commitment through House Bill 3265, ensuring public bodies and Oregon law enforcement agencies cannot deny services and benefits or inquire about immigration status, and prohibits local law enforcement and state entities from gathering and sharing information with federal immigration authorities or otherwise aiding or assisting federal immigration enforcement activities. Whereas the University of Oregon Senate passed a 2016 resolution demanding the university take steps towards designation as a sanctuary campus, and again in April 2025 to actionably protect immigrants, international, and non-citizen members. Whereas student leaders at the University of Oregon have been advocating for the creation of a Latinx Center for over half a century, in 1969, the ASUO Senate, working with the Multicultural Student Union, MECHA, the Black Student Union, and Native American Student Union, passed a resolution allocating $75,000 to an ethics studies department, which would include cultural centers for the student unions. Each student union was promised $25,000 towards the creation of the centers, but no centers were created with the department. Again, in the early 1970s, students from 3 multicultural student unions advocated for and were promised cultural centers as part of the university's Educational Opportunity Services program. Planned to be finished in the mid-70s and financed via state funds, only 1 center for Native American students was completed. Of the 3 planned centers originating in 1969, the only center which is yet to be built is a center for Latinx students. Whereas Black student organizers at UO led meetings, rallies, teach, and die-ins between December 24 and November 2015. I said December 24, but I meant 2014. Nearly 50 years after our Black Student Union's initial 1968 issuing of demands to the university, eventually leading to the creation of the Black Student Task Force, whose November 12, 2015 demands included a physical space for Black students, quote, to build community and share culture, end quote, which became, after further organizing and fundraising, the Lil Reynolds Parker Black Cultural Center. In 1971, the Student Activities Board recognized the on-campus quote-unquote chapter of Eugene's Gay People's Alliance, which had already been meeting off-campus. And during its years of organizing for queer rights in Oregon and affirmative action in the university, led to the creation of an LGBTQA3 student organization and office space. Whereas there has been a 7,900% increase in immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, and Border Patrol arrests over the past year after the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, launched Operation Black Rose, bringing ICE and Border Patrol agents from across the country to conduct illegal, warrantless arrests in the state of Oregon. Whereas residents of the Eugene/Springfield area have reported ICE activity alongside confirmed incidents in January 2026 of federal agents shooting a 40 millimeter CS scat shell, CS pocket tactical grenades, live explosive balls, and Hava CFN 303 rounds at protesters, and arresting individuals at the Eugene Federal Building, demonstrating a pattern of aggressive and militarized enforcement. Whereas the University of Oregon's mission statement states its values as including the quote, success of the students, faculty, and staff who work and learn here, end quote, our shared charges to steward resources sustainably and responsibly, end quote. Whereas the university's current guidance instructs community members to, quote, to politely advise the officer in question that you have been instructed to notify the general counsel's office and that they will need to wait for that office to engage, end quote, and recommends student compliance when officers assert, quote, "contingent circumstances," placing the burden of harm on students and workers while only offering retroactive solutions that are often inadequate or ineffective. Whereas there have already been instances in which such guidance has proven insufficient to protect students from deportation, including the case of a Babson College student traveling across state lines for a Thanksgiving break, was deported by ICE approximately 48 hours after arrest, despite a federal judge issuing a stay on her removal. Whereas University of Oregon administrators have repeatedly expressed reluctance to utilize the UO alert system to inform students and campus workers of ICE or other federal law enforcement activity on or near campus, despite the system's stated purpose of promoting campus safety. Whereas at a public ASUO Senate meeting on January 14th, 2026, in response to a question from Senator Cole Stevenson regarding how students can be adequately informed in the absence of UO alerts, University of Oregon Vice President and General Counsel Kevin Reed stated that issuing alerts about ICE presence could be dangerous due to the possibility of inaccurate reports and delays in releasing alerts as quickly as students might expect. Whereas in 2020, the UO Division of Global Engagement, GEO, launched a program called #NoVisaNeeded, allowing international students to complete their degrees and pursue credit options through partner universities in their home countries without a visa during a global pandemic that restricted or banned travel. Whereas in April 2025, DHS removed the visas of 4 international UO students, and in response, student, staff, and community organizers mobilized toward a sanctuary campus, quote, that defends our students, free speech, and higher education, end quote, through a, quote, ICE off-campus rally, and fundraising for legal fees, spurring ASUO and GEO to connect affected students with state-funded legal services like Equity Corps of Oregon, or ECO. Whereas the Chicano Student Union was formed on this campus in 1967, which later became MECHA in 1969. Mujeres was formed on this campus in 1995 by women as a support for Latinas and Latina students on campus, and the Latina Male Alliance was formed on this campus in 2017. Whereas 14.5 to 17% of the student body at the University of Oregon is Latina/Latinx, whereas 9 of the 18 universities in the Big Ten have maintained dedicated centers to serving their respective Latinx communities. Among the remaining 9 institutions that do not list a Latinx Cultural Center, the University of Washington operates a Latino Center for Health, and 3 others, the University of Maryland, Michigan, and Michigan State, have centers focused on Latin and Caribbean studies. Whereas the Chicano movement of the early 1970s emerged a national push for civil rights, educational equity, recognition for Mexican American communities, laying the groundwork for the establishment of Chicano/Latino student studies programs and cultural centers across U.S. universities. 5 of the 9, USC, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota, the schools in the Big Ten, Latinx cultural centers, cite this as the reason for their own cultural centers. Whereas the Chicano movement emphasizes the importance of culturally affirming educational environments, a principle that continues to guide the development of Latinx cultural centers nationwide, including those documented across the Big Ten and Pacific Northwest institutions like Oregon State and Washington State University. Whereas in 2010, Portland State University created La Casa, which is their Latina Student Center. There's also a program at Portland State called Éxito, which is success in Spanish. This program was created with the intention to recruit, retain, and graduate more Latin students on their campus. The University of Wisconsin also created their center in the 2010s. A group of Latina undergraduates from the university were inspired by the work of Black activists to get a Black Cultural Center on their campus and wanted to offer Latin students a similar space. Whereas this landscape shows a growing commitment towards providing Latinx students across the region, as well as our own conference, to having culturally grounded academic and community resources. This demonstrates the importance of supporting Latinx students, faculty, and community partners through culturally grounded programming, research, and resource development. Whereas the Higher Education Act defined HSIs as not-for-profit colleges and universities where at least 25% of the full-time equivalent FTE undergraduate enrollment is Hispanic. Whereas the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities recognizes the following: Hispanic serving institutions with Hispanic full-time equivalent, FTE, enrollment at least 25%. Emerging HSIs are institutions with Hispanic full-time equivalent enrollment between 15 and 24.99%. To qualify as an HSI or an EHSI, institutions must also meet the following criteria beyond just Hispanic FTE enrollment: qualify for Title IX aid, hold nonprofit status, confer at least one undergraduate degree, associate or bachelor's, and institutions must be designated as an eligible institution of higher education in order to apply for Title III Part F program and must meet the program specific requirements to be defined as an HSI. Whereas being designated as an eligible institution of higher education, an institution must apply for and receive designation through an application process. Please refer to the most recent application for designation as an eligible institution. You may contact the program office if you have questions regarding eligibility. Whereas on April 16, 2024, the University of Oregon created an HSI consortium steering committee and declared the university to be a quote emerging HSI, and currently 15% of students are Latinx. The 2024 freshman class was 17% Latinx, and the percentage of applicants to UO from Latinx students has grown significantly in the recent years and is now 20%. Whereas in the quote report on the University of Oregon becoming an HSI, created by the HSI task force and submitted to the university provost, Janet Woodruff at the time in January of 2023, there was no mention of the creation of a physical space specifically serving the Latinx community on this campus. Whereas the first recommendation given in the report was over concern for its white community. Quote, first, UO would mitigate the potential for declining enrollment that is expected as a result of its decline in the white population. First recommendation, y'all. Whereas in the second recommendation only speaks to infrastructure. Second, by enhancing its student support infrastructure. By enhancing its student support infrastructure to support Latinx students, UO would create a culture that better serves all students, especially underrepresented ones. Whereas the third recommendation focuses on funding for the university. Quote, third, it would open up new funding possibilities for research and student support, especially in STEM. Whereas the fourth recommendation is about growth in research opportunities. The goal wasn't serving the community as much as it was about federal recognition. Quote, fourth, becoming an HSI would allow UO to reach its full potential as an R1 by contributing to a diverse academic pipeline and serving all of the people of Oregon. Given the current small number of R1 HSIs, timely progress towards 25% Latinx enrollment will likely yield more in terms of impact and access to federal funding. Whereas 3 general recommendations are given following these points. Recommendation 1, create an HSI implementation committee. Recommendation 2, review and revise data collection, outreach efforts, and enrollment and retention procedure. Recommendation 3, hire Latinx faculty and staff. Whereas the long-term goals of the task force were as follows. We recommend 15 new tenure track faculty lines to be allocated across the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Education, and professional schools, prioritizing departments where Latinx student interest is either significant, growing, or where attrition rates are high. As well as in tandem with faculty lines, we recommend investment in a new 15-person postdoctoral program with the aim of building a quote pipeline of talented Latinx instructors and researchers with potential to become career TTF or non-tenure track faculty. This would increase the Latinx presence in units where their representation is absent. The ASUO Senate has not seen a documented response to any of these recommendations by the University of Oregon. Whereas on January 20th, 2025, immediately after taking office, President Trump signed 26 executive orders, several of which directly harm immigrants and the Latinx community. Executive Order 14159 switched deportation and detainment priorities from what the Biden administration classified as, quote, violent criminals to all undocumented immigrants, expanded federal immigration law enforcement power, and expanded expedited removal to the interior of the United States. Whereas these policy changes have led to ICE encroaching on cities and states throughout the country, not only at the borders. This change in immigration enforcement priorities and practices has harmed the Latinx community because it has led to racial profiling of both citizens and immigrants, created fear in immigrant communities such that both citizens and undocumented immigrants are increasingly afraid to go out and engage in their communities, go to school, go to work, and cooperate with authorities. These policies have led to deportations and detainments occurring without judicial review or any due process, whereas Executive Order 14161 revoked visas of immigrants already living in the United States, which immediately rendered these people in violation of immigration law and subject to deportation. And no due process or justification was given by the administration prior to revoking the visas. These orders have resulted in the assault, battery, and killing of people in the United States by ICE and led to substantial protests and unrest in many parts of the United States. Whereas this administration has advised ICE that it may forcefully enter private property without a court-issued warrant and in violation of the Constitution. This administration has said that people protesting its actions may not carry firearms to protests, which is a violation of the Second Amendment and prior court rulings. This administration even tried to claim that federal agents are immune from state prosecution while acting in their official capacity, regardless of whether the actions of the agents violate protocol, state law, or deprive people of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without due process of law. Overall, the actions of this administration regarding immigration are unreasonably violent, capricious, in violation of the Constitution, and illegal, resulting in harm to the Latinx community and many others. Therefore, let it be resolved effective immediately by the Associated Students of the University of Oregon Senate, acting under the authority of ASUO Constitution, that 1, students of the University of Oregon demand the establishment of a standalone Latinx cultural center. The University of Oregon shall establish a dedicated, centrally located Latinx cultural center that is visible, accessible, and integrated into campus life. This center shall provide services in line with the standards of Latinx centers across our peer institutions, including but not limited to A, providing culturally competent student support, employ mental health professionals with expertise in serving Latinx students, offer drop-in advising, legal resources, and career services tailored to Latinx and immigrant origin students, maintain regular partnership or satellite hours with Center for Multicultural Academic Excellence, CMAE, and related student success programs. B, include academic and study infrastructure. BI, dedicated study spaces equipped with computers, printing, and collaborative workspaces, work areas. BII, space to support tutoring, mentoring, and student success programming. C, provide community-centered physical space. CI, a welcome gathering environment, including open community space and green space where possible. C2, office and meeting space for Latinx student organizations and staff. D, ensure sufficient event and programming capacity. D1, provide a large, reservable, centrally located event space within the Latinx Cultural Center capable of hosting 300 to 500 attendees to accommodate major student-led cultural programs. D2, plan for the scale of existing Latinx student organization programming, including but not limited to D21, Mujeres Noche de Excelencia. D22, oh my gosh, how would I pronounce this? RAICES, Raices, Unidas Youth Conference. D23, Mecha Dia de los Muertos celebration. And D24, LMA Carne Asada. And D3, ensure the center is designed with appropriate infrastructure for large-scale programming, including flexible seating, AV capabilities, kitchen access for cultural food programming, and space that allows for both student and broader community participation. E, establish a student-led governance structure E1, the Latinx Cultural Center shall remain student-centered and student-led in its vision, priorities, and its programming, ensuring that those most directly impacted shape the center's direction. E2, ensure students hold decision-making authority in collaboration with professional staff rather than serving in a solely consultative role. E3, provide dedicated professional staff and or faculty support to assist with institutional navigation, continuity, and resource development, while preserving student autonomy over cultural expression, programming, and community building functions. 2, students demand institutional protections for undocumented and Latinx students. The University of Oregon must take proactive, public-facing steps to ensure that Latinx, immigrant origin, undocumented, and mixed status students are able to live, learn, and participate in campus life without fear, surveillance, or institutional ambiguity. 2A, establish and publicize a clear non-cooperation protocols. A1, reaffirm and clearly communicate the university's policies regarding federal immigration and enforcement on campus, including when and how agencies may or may not access university spaces. 2A2, ensure all faculty, staff, administrators, and student employees are trained on appropriate response procedures if approached by immigration enforcement. 2A3, provide publicly accessible guidance so students understand their rights and available campus resources. 2B, commit to non-retaliatory use of the student code of conduct. 2B1, the university shall publicly affirm that the student code of conduct will not be used to suppress, punish, or deter students engaging in protest, advocacy, or organization related to immigration enforcement, immigrant rights, or anti-ICE action. 2B2, the university should reaffirm its obligation to uphold students' rights to free expression, assembly, and civic engagement as essential components of an academic environment. 2B3, this commitment should be communicated transparently to students, faculty, and staff to prevent fear, confusion, or deterrence from student activism. 2C, issue a statement from university leadership. 2C1, the university president shall issue a formal statement affirming the institution's commitment to protecting all students regardless of immigration status and condemning actions that create fear or exclusion within the campus community. 2D, implement a timely campus notification protocol regarding immigration enforcement activity. 2D1, develop an alert system to inform the campus community when verified immigration enforcement activity occurs in the surrounding area that may impact students. And 2D2, ensure alerts are informational in nature, grounded in verified information, and paired with links to legal resources, counseling, and campus support services.
Motion made by Stevenson, seconded by Ludeman. So the motion's now on the floor. If anybody would like to make a suggestion or amendments, now's the time. Or
If I disagree with the second, can I be like point of order because I heard who said like seconded as I was finishing?
I didn't hear, yeah, I. Oh, that's Fisher. Okay, let the record.
It's between you and me, Rob.
I know,
I've heard it. So.
I didn't say it.
All right, so motion's on the floor. We can make amendments or we can just vote. For anything that's like super technical periods or just rearranging things, rules committee takes every resolution, rereads it and reformats it if we can't change the meaning.
Yeah, I mean, this also could just be a rules committee thing. I don't know, I just said in the chat that I'd leave it as a comment, but it's just, there is a contradiction on the percentage of Latinx students that are here at the campus in the resolution. And they're both using different sources. One of them is using the University of Oregon website and the other one's using this research release from the president / provost. And it's interesting as well because the The one that was released by the president was from 2023, but the one, the 14 to 17% is from 2024. So I just thought perhaps we could have it be 14 to 20%, because also it says 14% in the 2024 class, and then 17% in the freshman class as of the year 2024. So I was figuring we could say 14 to 20%, and then hold both of the sources.
I think that sounds good. Do you want to make a little motion for it and vote on it?
It's a bit difficult to figure out how to format it in the document though, as they're mentioned.
You could just make the motion, leave a comment, then we'll just go back and commission.
Okay, that sounds good. And then also I was interested in also adding just in the same whereas where it was 14 to 17%. Just adding on that there's that the staff at the University of Oregon, according to the president/provost, in 2023 was 11%. That's like a thing to point out, or that's there's nothing about the faculty in here.
So that's gonna be adding. You want to make a motion to say I move to add the exact word.
Okay. Let's see. I move to add 14.5 to 20% of the student body of the University of Oregon is today/X. Or that's an amendment though. And then I move to add that as of 2023, 11% of the faculty of the University of
Oregon is. Neil, seconded by Peters. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Nay. And rules. Sorry. But those will be applied by rules committee. If no more questions, we can vote. All right, starting with Perez, Peters.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
O'Neill.
Aye.
Taylor. Smith.
Aye.
Sorry. Offerdead. Heffernan. Amaliefe. Jacobson Cox. Chisholm. Nagarajan. Stevenson. Purdue. Smith. Aye. Bailey. Aye. Morel. Madariaga.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Westbury. Lumen.
Aye.
And I say aye as well. Congrats and thank you so much. We appreciate all the work that you guys, the coalition, have been doing on like getting this first step done. And thank you so much for hanging out all night and being willing to talk and present. Thank you. Thank you. And then next up, we do have a quick mini presentation from Rules Committee. Sorry, personnel committee. Scared me.
We all go? Yeah, come on. I'm not going alone. Wait, Erin, can you put up the presentation? I think Clay can control it. What? Yeah, Clay Green.
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry. It is like, it is really scary. This is really scary. I find so scary. Yeah. Okay, so, with end of term approaching, performance evals are coming up and budget season coming to an end. And now we have 4 lovely new senators that were not here for last performance eval. I think personnel thinks that we should just do a quick run through of fulfillment of duties. I also made like 2 small tweaks to it that I would like to update you guys on. Next slide. So if you guys don't know, your requirements are in the ASUO Google Drive under the legislative branch. It's titled ASUO Senate Fulfillment of Duties 2025-26. That's also where, when I ask you to submit Google Forms, all of the links are in there. There's also a link to the tiers for student org events in there. Pretty much everything is in there. Okay.
So many words.
Get in there. Okay, behavioral. All ASUS senators will conduct themselves with professionalism within the ASUS suite, ASU-related meetings, and within the broader University of Oregon campus life. Senators will act with kindness and empathy. Senators will not act in any way that promotes misogyny, racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, or harm to any marginalized group of people. ASU officers will operate under the assumption that all actions are taken in good faith. All officers are expected to lead with transparency and open minds to new ideas. All feedback will be delivered with good intent and separate objective criticism from subjective judgment. ASU officers will treat all people with respect. All disagreements will be handled with professionalism and empathy. Disputes will be addressed through the proper channels. Personal conflicts and opinions of people should be left out of professional setting. Every ASU officer should feel respected and valued.
Your office hours, finance vendors, that's 5 hours a week for you, 3 hours a week for academic. Office hours must be completed at the time stated on the office hours and conflicts of interest sheet, unless you let me know within 24 hours prior, obviously barring extenuating circumstances, normal extenuating circumstances. For AC, office hours held outside of the suite. I don't know if I've ever officially said this. So office hours held outside of the sheet can be logged. That link goes to the sheet that Cole has made for all of you guys to log that in, which I'm sure he's happy to resend you. Or you can write them on the sheet in the office. That's still fine. I check both of them. Next. So for Senate meetings, you can miss 2 Senate meetings per term unexcused. All senators, you must let me know within 24 hours before the Senate meeting they want to miss in order for it to be excused. Obviously, again, barring extenuating circumstances. You get 5 unexcused meetings total. So if you use 2 every term, you're gonna exceed that. Lateness and leaving Senate meetings over 10 minutes can result in a partial absence mark. You get like 3 tardiness. That counts as 1 full Senate absence. In the event of recess is called, this is something that's new. In the event of recess is called, you have to come back within the time specified by Quadrian when he calls the recess. Yeah, that's it. And please come having reviewed the agenda and any relevant requests. And if you want to make motions, write them in advance. So because Kayla and Sarah will not always send you guys the motions, and I don't think they should have to. And you will practice active listening skills, which includes don't go on your phone while people are up here and asking us for money and presenting what things that they have made for us. Committees, I am expanding this. So committee chairs or their vice chairs must submit attendance to me after each meeting. That can either be just uploading the minutes with the attendance at the top in the Google Drive and I will check it, or if it's easier, you can just Teams it to me. This is so that in future performance evals next term, I can properly track those things because it has not been equal across all committees. And so I would like that to be fair. You can miss 2 committee meetings per term without an excused absence, just like Senate. And like Senate, contact your committee chair within 24 hours prior if you want it to be an excused absence.
All senators must complete sensitivity, procedural, financial, or additional training.
So then I have to put back on.
Provided by the ASU ombudsperson within the assignment.
Student org attendance, this is really relevant to the performance eval. Just like last term, you need to attend at least 3 student org events, 1 tier 1 or tier 2, 1 cultural, and 1 tier 3 or tier 4, and fill out the, I'm sorry, that says engage, it should say Google form. Fill out the Google form that's linked in the fulfillment of duty sheet. That is the only way that I know if you've gone. So if you don't fill it out, I can't give you credit for that on your performance evaluation. And basically, any instances of failing to perform the duties as I've defined in the presentation and in this document is subject to punitive action recommended by the Personnel Committee. I, with the approval of the Personnel Committee, can submit grievances to the Constitution Court. Constitution Court has the discretion to determine the severity of punishment. Available forms of action could be suspension from position, suspension from pay, and removal from position. So there are actual consequences to doing these things, and I must provide you with at least one warning email before I do this, for transparency's sake. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Questions, everyone?
Yeah, I was wondering at what time does tardiness begin to be counted?
10 minutes.
Okay, because sometimes Senate starts really late though.
It's relevant to when it's called. If that makes
From the gavel.
no, like if it says Senate starts at 7 and Quadrian doesn't say we are going to delay it, like at the beginning, sometimes he's like having technical difficulties or something. If he doesn't say that, then you have till 7:10.
So just for clarification, it's from the gavel, but just you should try to be here by 7 because I'm trying to start meeting at 7. It doesn't work. But it'll still be by that gavel.
And also, if we don't have enough people, then we can't start on time. So we need to make sure that we quorum at that sometimes. That's why we have to start later. And also, how do you report grievances as an individual?
I made up like a little form. I can send it out. I just made it up based on other workplace forms because Concord did not provide me with one. But you basically just email it to Concord. I can send that out.
You email it straight to Concord?
I have to get mine approved by the Personnel Committee, but I don't leave normal send. Like I don't think you guys have to. If you wanted to submit one.
Like
Yeah.
your option. You can
So like the grievances that she's talking about are like grievances for not doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But if you have a grievance about something else, that goes right to Concord.
Okay. I use
Senator Chisholm.
yeah, everybody should be in.
Exactly. Usually, like, I can't find the actual thing. I just search up something I know is in there, and then I backtrack it.
If you guys aren't in the Google Drive, just Teams me your Gmail, and then I can add you to the Google Drive because there's a lot of useful information in there.
The fulfillment of duty stock is also mail. If you want to look at it like right now, it should be at some. I think in like November I emailed it out. So if you search fulfillment of duties, it should be in there somewhere.
Not good.
Okay. Thank you. I know.
Yeah, I was wondering how to edit one's office hours.
Reach out to me, and then, well, I'm assuming that this is you giving me notice that you need to change your office hours in this term. That's fine. Thank you for letting me know. Just change them in the big public sheet. The only thing you need to let me know first is because I have a copy of the sheet that I cross-reference, and if I don't know that you updated them, then I will start thinking wrong time.
Every now and then the sheet will lock. I've noticed when I go to try to change it. If that does happen, you can hit up the ASU clerks on team. They have control of the spreadsheet. Yeah, and then sometimes people don't do it in time. Yeah, there's an empty office hour. Please go check and fill that because I think it's more like all the Senate ones are full, but then there's some gaps that aren't quite common. Sorry.
Someone else raised houses.
Yeah, I yield. Thank you. I apologize. That's it for the list. Any other questions, personnel?
I want to trade.
I yield, thank you.
Okay.
Also, I'd say, hopefully people just do these things, not so they don't get a grievance, but because like showing up and listening to the works and stuff like makes them feel heard and also it just like makes a positive impression on our like stuff like that. So
People really hate us.
Also, we get that it's like super close to the end of all of our terms and it feels like there's not a lot of time left, but it is super important that we like stay really like proactive in our roles and like finish it out again. So yeah, we're just here to check in on you guys and make sure that you know what should all be getting done.
Well, make the tab of fulfillment of duties back in your email. Please team Erin if you're not in Google Drive, and I will go over performance eval in like probably 4 minutes more during my announcement.
All right, thank you, personnel. And moving into our update of the finance committees, PFC Chair Senator Peter.
PFC is gonna meet next week to go over our bylaws, and we're gonna start working on end of year stuff. And then, so you actually realize, okay. And then over realized committee, we decided that we're going to, so today we recommended, Daniel's ISS, to Senate to be voted on. So we as a Senate can now vote on that. After that request, we're going to wait until April 15th, and let all of our other requests roll in, and then evaluate all of those requests in one go. So you should not be hearing from us for a while, but in the time between now and April 15th, we would really love it if people can get the word out about OverRealize. We've only seen 8 applications, and every single one of those people besides one is connected to ASU. So I would really love to see some non-ASUOers on that list. So come chat with me if you have some ideas about how to get the word out about OverRealize. That's it. Thank you. Do you have a question about OverRealize?
yes, do you think you can send out like or maybe I could just take notes and come up with a blurb, but I was thinking like when you said that I was thinking I could start circulating it around my video or let it go through.
Okay. Yeah, I can send you like a little blurb in the link. Yeah. Are you?
PFC Senator Smith.
Governor Taylor says we don't have much to update, except that our Cascadia mobility one-time funding thing has officially fell through. So we're trying to replan for coming years when they have some new equipment and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically it.
PFC Chair Senator Hoppertech.
Yeah, we haven't met in a while because of some sicknesses and then I was traveling. So no updates. We're gonna meet next Tuesday at 3:30. I'm probably gonna talk about our like finance project. I'm gonna try and have a member of exec there. Probably Daphne to help us out with that. And then yeah, we just need to work on like our transition documents and then probably look at our bylaws as well. But yeah, I yield.
Awesome, thank you, finance chairs. Going to Senate executive updates, academic chair Stevenson.
Yeah, we got a bit of a doozy. So first was Senator Madariaga.
Okay, hey guys, so clothing drive update, we have got donations. We actually have a pretty good amount, which I'm happy about. But basically there was scheduling issues like with TMU and tabling, so I only got a spot for tomorrow. I did send the sign up earlier and I changed it to 30-minute slots. So if you can just make any of the slots, please help out. I myself will be tabling tomorrow, but I do have the class too. So like, yeah. And then Friday is the last day, and we won't be tabling, but just like for people to come in. If you have anything, please bring it into the suite. And tell your friends to bring it into the suite on Friday or before. So, and then next steps is I'm gonna call the shelter ahead and let them know like a time frame of when we can drop off the donations, and then I'm gonna be asking people who have help transport things. But that's like the next step, so you don't have to worry about it quite yet. But yeah, that's it. I yield back to Darcy.
Thank you so much. Next.
Hey guys, was it update? So I spoke with them yesterday to like basically. And we have not had too many meetings done so far. But I'm gonna tell you guys some of the feedback that we already got that I think is really useful and why we're doing this stuff. Okay, so how they feel about ASUO, just kind of name some things. They generally feel positive, but they need help with specific questions around events. The timing apparently, like not responding to emails is bad, but maybe that's just for sobs. And also being able to cook for themselves, so that's concerns maybe something about that. And because a lot of people do stuff out of paying out of their pocket. A lot of people have also been talking about reimbursement being an issue. We think in group on that. Not now, obviously, but things that weren't explained by previous boards that they're worried about with ASUO is basically just how surplus works and also event overlapping. Yes, I got some good feedback like what schools can do better to help student board leaders. And that's all the information I got right now. But the meetings are going pretty good. Well, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah. So for those of you, everyone here has actually sat through a financial request that Hui has brought, but I went through and I went to their exec board meeting, and it was super nice. Like, they had a clarifying question about like if they needed gloves for serving pizza, and I was like, I don't think it matters. They're like, oh, that's such a weight off our shoulder. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And for the events overlapping in the MCC, they're making like an Outlook calendar for all of the clubs together. And it's just taking a lot of time for them to do that, and so there will be events overlapping. Oh, that reminds me also, it is not Sunday, it is the 28th, it's Saturday. That is when Bollywood Ball is, that is when the Black Excellence Gala is. Yeah, and any questions or comments for Tyler? There's a Black Excellence Gala. Yes, and I'll team it to you, yes. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. And probably on Friday. Too. Although, if you have questions on what I said earlier, and if you're confused with what I said earlier about the comment, please talk to me instead of leaving the room feeling like you're right and I'm wrong about it. Because, yeah, I don't know.
You're right. Awesome. Next up, we have Senator Perdue, unless.
I just wanted to say about Affinity or stuff that Rio Hawaii has their winter formal, which is a fundraiser for the luau. It is going to be next. I'm sorry if I stole someone's thunder, but I really wanted to make sure that I please come to HOH events. This is going to be great. Everything that HOH does is great. It's next Tuesday. From 6 to 9 p.m. in the EMU bar room. Tickets are $12. It's going to be really incredible. I would love to see each and every one of you there, just like I'd love to see you all at Luau, but please come to that.
Thank you. Before I yield to Senator Perdue, Senator Smith.
Oh, Perdue first.
Perdue has a whole slideshow.
Oh, okay. About ice stuff again. It's the same update as earlier. I'm busting hella ass on this. Am I allowed to? I don't care.
I would rather you not, but it is just us.
No, I'm busting like crazy amounts of ass on this. I learned an entirely different coding language for this purpose. I'm out like pouring myself out on the sidewalk. Do you know that embarrassing thing the Daily Interview will do? On me with these. Wait, please. But I'm not feeling a lot of support from my colleagues here. I know this isn't like an ASO thing, but like if you could do anything, like just please send me a DM. I'd be so happy to get some help since I've done most of what I can do on my own. I appreciate that.
You're in the GTFF office.
You know, Claire from the physics department came and talked to me about it. Appreciate that. I'd like some more help on this because I feel that this is the most important thing going on right now is ICE in our communities. And this is something that I think we can do to be helpful. Thank you.
Senator Smith, Senator Chisholm had a question for you.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know that those are like multi papers, and if I can talk to the people who run the insurgents, so you could either drop them off into racks, which there's 40 spread all over campus, but you could also maybe at one of their meetings, if you like, I could also talk to them to have a little group to just put a piece of paper, like one of the papers, into all the issues. But also, you can probably maybe just ask the people who are destroying the Daily Emeralds, like, hey, can you, or like, can I have a second so I can put a paper in all of them, and when you hand them out, I think they'll already be there. But I would say, like, yeah, the magazines that already exist, I think is a good way to.
I haven't considered that. Thanks a lot.
Anything else? Senator Smith.
Senator Smith, could you explain how the alerting process is set up?
Yeah, that's the hard part is that it's really not yet. So far, it's been live since last Wednesday. I've just been handing out information, trying to build out the list while I figure out the messaging stuff in concert, in concert. With that, the end goal is to be sending out unidirectional mass messages using something like MailChimp or something from an email address to phone numbers.
And how is like the activity getting verified?
I'm talking to the perk people right now to figure out how exactly to do that in a way that isn't just on like the UON, but that actually collaborates with the PIRC folks. So again, like a work in progress. Yeah, if you have any solutions or suggestions, I'd be super down. I'm kind of at the end of what I have the knowledge to do. Thank you.
Senator Purdue.
I don't have access to your presentation. I sent a request. Why won't it give me access? No, of course.
If I just pasted the link, would you get, or did you like send an email to request access?
I sent a request for like table slides, I'll probably send my Gmail. But if you want to try to Teams it to me again, I just have to link like. You go into like share.
Yeah.
Set up my Gmail.
Wait, what's your?
It's my first and last name.
I do the link.
You're all set.
Okay, hi guys. So the project I'm working on, as you guys know, is injury prevention and awareness. Basically offering more resources to the music students, and injury, and also help them, I guess, with their injury if they're currently going through it. Can you go to that slide? So the objective of this project is to provide SOMG students with resources in navigating play-related injuries. to teach students about prevention and injury prevention methods, and to bring awareness to the subject matter and make it a conversation in ensembles and classes. So I sent out a survey actually like just a week ago, and I pitched it to my orchestra, and so most of these responses are from my orchestra. And then just yesterday, I was able to send it to the undergrad and grad bounce list, so everybody in the School of Music has access to the link now. And I also pitched it to one of the piano studios today. So this is the results of like who has responded. Most of them are violin players. Yeah, so you can go to the next slide. And so the second question I asked was, like what is true to you? And so I think what is really important to see is that a lot of people have been injured or going through an injury, and almost everyone experiences like tightness or soreness after playing. And so yeah. And then also, I think this is really important to note as well that people don't really feel like they have the resources at U of O for injuries and learning about this topic. So yeah. And then this question was just to like gauge what direction my project could go in. So I think the ideal situation would be to get an on-campus PT for school music and dance. I don't know how much power I have with, the support from ASUO and the School of Music and Dance students. I don't know how much that would sway a decision like that. But yeah, that would be the ideal goal. But I also would love this coming spring term to do like a guest speaker conference. So people specializing in different like instruments would come and give like talks on like injury prevention and best practices for those specific instruments, because it ranges heavily because the ergonomics of playing are just so different. Yeah. And so these are a couple of the responses from the survey. I think the second one is really important to know. I think having this conversation put into like syllabuses for like ensembles and also like for your instrument like professor is super important, because there are no guidelines on it whatsoever. And so some people I don't think feel supported in that matter. Yeah, and then there's one more. Yeah, and I think this response is really good. I'm just gonna read it out loud really quick. Thank you so much for being an advocate for injury prevention and awareness. It's such a common issue that musicians face that goes underlooked. I think having access to these types of resources, but also having required courses through performance and education majors would go a long way in ensuring we can all continue to pursue music for the rest of our lives. Injury seems to be something that feels shameful or extremely discouraging, but I think that by having more readily available resources, it will help rid some of the stigma and help musicians learn how to care for themselves in a way that aids the longevity of their career. So I just think this really sums up, I guess, like the main like goal for this project, because there is a lot of stigma and it is an extremely discouraging thing to go through. And I want people to know that like I support them and like, and with this survey, I've gotten a lot of like personal responses as well, and it's been honestly really emotional to read some of them. And yeah, I don't know. I just really passionate about this, and I'm excited that people have had such a warm and positive reaction. So yeah.
We could make a working group if anyone's interested in like assisting you. There doesn't have to be a resolution that comes out of it per se, but like it can be just dedicated to like helping you with this project.
Yeah, for sure. I again like don't really know like what trajectory this is gonna go in, so I think I like kind of need to format what next steps I want to take. But yeah, I will totally let you guys know if that is something that I'll be
awesome. Well, I'd also be down to help you too. I'm a fellow college design major. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and also, sorry, yeah, okay, next step, so I, again, only pitched it to orchestra and then a piano studio. So I wanna pitch it to wind ensemble and the other piano studio. And then after I get more survey results, right now I have, I think around 50. I'll meet with the dean of the School of Music and also DSAC, maybe, which is the Dean Student Advisory Council. And discuss the survey results and pitch my ideas. And also a couple like faculty have and me like emailing people have like shown their support and said that they want to. Well, yeah, that might be something.
Thank you, Senator Green. And Senator Stevens, you saw the floor.
Oh, I actually have a question for Senator Padu, so that's perfect. Or not a question, I guess more of a like vibes, like how you feel about it going forward. If you had to like for the working group point that Speaker Gill made, as far as like having people work with you on and having something like there being a requirement of professors to talk about or having their syllabus, if someone gets injured, they're not going to be liable in the same way that if they weren't injured. Or would you want it to be something like having a pro staff or like the physical therapist for that, or would it be like a thing of those two things?
I think the first option that you said seems like a better option just because like no offense to you guys, but I don't know if you guys know of a lot of music, professionals and stuff. So I think the first option just makes more sense to come up with like a resolution or something like that. Yeah.
Thank you, I yield.
Great job. And we can make the working group now if you want, or you could wait until you feel more like ready to present it, or no worries. Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's wait, maybe, yeah, next week.
Then I'll be the first to have it.
Yeah, so performance evals are going out next week. We just assigned them out through personnel this morning. I thought I would briefly go over the criteria for people that want a refresher, and also because it is slightly different. There are two main categories: professionalism and Senate, ranked on a scale 1 to 5, needs work to great, and that includes Robert's rules, contributions, preparedness, and student org interactions, all within the context of Senate meetings and Senate-related meetings. And then there are like actual quantitative ones. For the second category, attendance on a scale of 1 to 4, none to all. Attendance in office hours, Senate meetings, and student org events. This is slightly different than last time. That also included ASU event volunteering, which was street fair, but didn't really have a big event like that, so that did not feel like a fair criterion. But for student org events, these performance evals are going out next week. You have to fill out the Google form for your student org attendance this term if you want it reflected on the evaluation. Do that please by this weekend, because that is when we're going to be checking that and getting started on these so that we can get them out to you. That's it. There's also a section describe something the senator does well and describe areas of improvement for the senator. And this is all a lovely way for us to keep improving our positions. Okay.
This person happened.
For the new senators, when and where does personnel committee meet?
Personnel committee meets at 8:45 a.m. and PLC 837. And yeah, every Wednesday. Oh, sorry. I also forgot to say if I haven't redone the math since we took out one of the criteria, so I don't remember what the number is, but we add up all the numbers, and if you don't reach whatever passing number is, you are required to, or very much encouraged to have a meeting so we can talk about that. Yeah,
Thank you very much, I yield.
Committee update, lovely people
But they're chill, so they send it back for revisions.
Yeah, denied what?
Amended. The Constitution.
So we, we did a lot of cleanup. Like we didn't really change anything. My position name has changed, so just like fixing that. It currently has the incorrect number of people in PFC, so we had to change that. It has the incorrect number of senators, since there's 24 senators, but there's 23. So just some pretty important changes because we are violating the Constitution quite a lot just by doing our day-to-day business. So
But me, I'm not supposed to exist.
yeah, technically Bridget is supposed to be elected, which is awesome.
I was gonna say, isn't that because they merged his 2 seats?
I think so. They merged 2 seats and they forgot to leave it.
Okay.
Fisher, big question, Barry.
So, what do you mean they rejected it? Like, can you describe what you mean by they rejected it, but they're chill about, like, what does that mean?
I'll read the message.
Like, why are they saying no?
Yeah, what is their issue?
Okay, well, the message says, after reviewing the document, the court has identified several concerns with these measures. We are returning the measures for revision to ensure they clearly specify and address all sections of the Constitution impacted by any proposed changes as required by section 14.5. It says without these revisions, they will not fulfill the constitutional requirement. So I believe it's just more so the formatting of our ballot measures. Because they didn't specify like anything was wrong with them, but I think just the format. Because you have to identify like what you're changing,
Oh, okay.
what gets changed, and if it doesn't, what doesn't get changed.
While the A seemed undemocratic, what happens is first it goes to Concord and if Concord approves it, then either the ASU of Senate has to approve it for it to go on the ballot, or if the Senate denies it or they don't want to take it up, the student body can do a petition. Right? Those are the 2 avenues after Concord gives it.
Is it possible for us to like meet with them and like write stuff with them, so it's not just like, oh, no. Then it takes a long time. Thank you.
And then, end of the month, guys. Sign it.
400.
Well, I'm just to be broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deputy Speaker Ludovic.
Hello, everyone. Not too many updates. First, I have a time slot for the People's Guide tour within the Ledge branch. From Valentine, it's going to be next Friday between 10 and 12. Can I get like a vibe check of hands of who would be able to go?
Damn.
Bro, I had a job.
What?
You put your people time.
Yeah.
Next Friday from 10 to 12. The March 6th. Oh, there's so much more than 10.
Maybe we're part of the people.
8? So with that large, maybe around 10%. Okay, cool. Other thing, working with Xander on doing like ledge catered dinner, maybe in the Longhouse, as we've spoken with the council. I don't really care about where we get the food from that much, but if someone feels strongly about that, as long as it's like somewhere we can get catering from, please let me know. Cool.
Taste of India question?
India. Thoughts? Cool.
Also, you have like dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, let us know so we don't find out.
I'll send out something.
And for my update, I just wanted to share that SGS has asked to keep the suite clean. As they are tired of picking up after us, which is very fair. Nicole comes in, you're in the suite early, like 8:30, you'll see Nicole come in. Picks up everything, waters all the plants, like tidies everything up, and I do see her throwing a lot of our trash in the trash and things like that. So let's make their jobs a little easier. Yeah, and also they talked about recycling things in the correct recycling bins too. Apparently we've just been throwing things in like bottles in the paper bin and stuff, and they have to go through and reorganize all that. So just being respectful to our pro staff that we pay, and they do a lot to help us out. So and the next executive branch update, ASU VP Max Jensen.
Hi, so Director of Advocacy Amaya and I have been working on revitalizing the Oregon Student Association. So far, we've gotten pledges for about $110,000 to go to a sort of short-term organizing professional for next year to help start the nonprofit and get campuses to go through their dues processes and to start up again. We met with five or six different campuses this past week, and that will be probably growing this term. So, Secretary of Student Organizations, Sarah, is working on the Together Through Time event, which will be tomorrow. Short documentary, student-made documentary on Asian American history and migration. That'll be called at 6 p.m. The Student Engagement Department is working on the 24-hour library access, which will be happening again this term, week 10 and finals week in the science library. And they're putting together the Labor Secretary Gonzalo is working on the Future of Work Conference, which is a small labor-focused conference that's happened for a few years now. And that seems like it's going to be set for week 7 or so. And then another committee is working on a socialist speakers series to bring 2, maybe 3 people to campus to talk about different issues. Socialism and social prison abolition and labor. And that's all from me.
Quick question, have you guys figured out who's speaking at the social speaker event yet?
We've sent out requests to I think 4 different speakers, but we haven't nailed it down.
Okay, so thank you. And then our last item, approval of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes from January 14th, 2026, February 11th. Great.
Motion made by Fisher, seconded by Peters. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. And the motion is approved. If there are no objections, we will now adjourn.
Thank you, chairs, for staying up and back or back for the people that. Great. Chairs all the way up, yeah.
Thank you.
Take right, yeah.